Sports Talk coming to you on a game day edition. That is right. The Chiefs and the team closest to the West duking it out tonight right here on 580 WIBW, FM 104.9. The Chiefs and Denver squaring off. We'll have the Chiefs Radio Network pregame coverage starting at 6 o'clock. We will get to lots and lots of Chiefs discussion today. Keys to the game, predictions, some trade targets perhaps. The Broncos are going a full fire sale right now. We're going to get into that as well. So lots to discuss. We're going to talk with Paul Myerberg. We'll talk with Rick Peterson. Mitch Holthus will be joining us as well. So we got so much going on today here on this edition of 580 Sports Talk. Hit us up. Let us know your thoughts. 785-272-9429. How are you feeling about this Chiefs game? I'll tell you what. I think this screams backdoor cover. We'll get to that as well. Let us know your thoughts on our YouTube page.
I would love to hear the reason why.
I'm going to give it to you.
I'm ready for it.
I'm going to give it
I'm
to you.
hyped.
I'm going to give it to you.
Hyping you up.
Go to YouTube, 580 Sports Talk. Hit the subscribe button. Lots to discuss. Sounds like Travis Kelce's going to play. Sounds like he's going to play. Expected to play. That's not a surprise. With a low ankle sprain, you can get that stuff ready to go. And if they're in control of this one, might not need him in the second half.
His girlfriend's going to be there.
You got to ball out.
No, you do.
You got to ball out. This is like old high school days, man. When your girl shows up, hopefully she'll be wearing his jersey now. Like I want her to wear like a game used one. We're going to get to that coming up here in just a little bit.
Did you do that when you were in high school? Did you have like a friend wear your jersey or a girlfriend wear your jersey on Friday?
No. The girl that I dated went to South.
Oh.
So yeah. Yeah. That didn't really fly a whole lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no.
Could have gotten a house divided flag and everything.
Absolutely not.
Central and South divided flag.
Yeah.
License plate holder.
Yeah, those
house divided.
Those are stupid. Yeah, I'm calling you out if you have one of those. Just your car has, if you each have a car, like my wife and I each have a separate car, you can ride. I'll ride what I want to ride with, and you can ride what you want to ride with.
I miss one of many things I missed about like old legacy Twitter before Rich Idiot ruined it. Was the house divided bot that would create like a fake flag and be like house divided. The Rocky Mountain Vibes and the Fremantle Dockers of the Aussie Rules Football League.
Yeah, that's kind of funny.
I can't remember if it was I think it was our guy Matt Brown from Extra Points who once he was visiting a game at Northwestern. He was covering a game there and he lives in Chicago. And he went into their team store that's right by Ryan Field. And I've been in that same team store. It's like a closet pretty much. Not a lot of fan spirit for Northwestern. There was a whole rack of house divided hats. And it was like Northwestern/Ohio State, Northwestern/Stanford. Like that isn't a house divided. That's just two nerds.
Yeah, you went to two different schools, got different degrees.
Doesn't count. Let's get to our keys to the game for this evening.
Go watch this on YouTube, by the way.
Watch.
Hype up the YouTube.
Might be a little bit windy. Maybe that could have an effect on this game.
We got a wonder tonight. A windy weekend or a windy weeknight under?
It might be. But here is what I will tell you about my keys. My number one key to this one, no big plays. Don't give up the big play. And funny how you would think that, but the Broncos actually do a decent job on big plays. They're 7th in the big plays, especially pass. They have more than the Chiefs.
I mean, that makes sense with Russell Wilson, right? Considering his strength has always been the deep ball.
Don't give up the big play. Make them drive it down the field because more than likely they won't be able to because they're gonna screw up. That's what bad teams do. You're the one who messes it up. It's kind of like you guys ever seen the movie The Intern? Internship with Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson, where they go to Google, right? And the one jerk who's like, I don't have to do anything. You're just going to screw it up yourself. You always do. And lo and behold, he did. Now he was able to, get it back. That's a funny movie. I kind of liked it a little bit, but that's what you got to do here.
Which is more recent, the release of the movie The Internship or the Broncos beating the Chiefs?
Oh, release of Internship.
Yeah, probably that movie.
Incorrect.
No kidding.
That movie came out in 2013.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow. Been a minute. Anyways, that's what you do here. Make them screw it up. What they always do. They will always do it. That's what this Broncos team does. So don't give up the big play. And the Chiefs have done a pretty good job of that this year. They haven't given up a ton of huge plays. Number 2 is in this game, don't settle for field goals. Red zone offense for the Chiefs. Get in the end zone. Don't settle for like the field goals that we saw against the Minnesota Vikings. If you get 7, there's no way that the Broncos offense or almost any offense outside of maybe the 49ers or the Dolphins can hang with you because the Broncos defense is so bad.
Mm-hmm.
Get 7. The Broncos defense is not good in red zone defense. So if you don't get 7, the Broncos, that's a gigantic win for the Broncos if you can keep the Chiefs at 3 when you get into the red zone. That's it. There's no other keys to this game. Don't give up the big play. Force them to drive it, and then put up 7. If you do that, the Chiefs will win this game handily, and you won't have to worry about it.
First key to the game for yours truly tonight is that you can rely on the running game. And when I say rely, that is a relative term because you know who we're talking about here. It's Andy Reid. It's the Kansas City Chiefs offense. It's Patrick Mahomes, all of that. But relative to what the Chiefs have at times done with their running game, you can lean on Isaiah Pacheco to carry a bigger load for you in this game. We saw it just 2 weeks ago. You can give him the ball 20 times. You can get him going in the passing game a little bit with some of that short stuff behind the line of scrimmage. You can, work him like a bell cow running back in a game if you need to. And this would be a great game to do that. The Denver Broncos, in terms of total rushing yards allowed through 5 weeks this season, they are last in the NFL. 32nd, dead last, 968 yards allowed on the ground so far this year. Yards per carry as a defense, yards per carry allowed, last place in the NFL. So they're not only giving up a ton of yards, they're giving them up in chunks as well. They're giving it up all over the place. You can run on them. You should be able to run on them. So to me, use that to your effect. If you don't need to throw the ball 45 times, then don't, because frankly, the biggest issues you're going to have with an individual matchup in this game probably are going to be against, if you're ever throwing at Patrick Surtain. That's essentially what it comes down to, because he's a legit superstar on the outside. You can limit yourself to like 25 to 30 throws in this game, run the ball 25 times between all your running backs, think you're going to be fine. Maybe the Denver defense is so bad even Clyde Edwards-Helaire can be useful in this game. I wouldn't bet on that, but maybe he can be. Get McKinnon involved a little bit.
He's going to get carries. This will be the game to do it.
He will. He's going to get like 8 carries in this game, and it's going to be annoying because maybe he won't be able to handle that load.
8 carries for 15 yards and a touchdown, like a vintage Jerome Bettis line.
Disgusting. By a guy who is supposed to be like a slot receiver who is also a running back. Yuck. But no, I would use that run game. I'm not saying, make it look like it's 1993 and gives or Larry Johnson's era or something like that. Like, I don't need to see 45 carries for Pacheco. But if you got him in the 18 to 22 neighborhood, I think that's a good usage rate for him in this game against this defense.
And I think he will get that. And the reason why is more than likely in this situation, he's going to get a lot of carries because the Chiefs are going to be up. And Andy Reid is not going to want to do anything spectacular.
That'd be nice.
It's going to be just get home. You know what I mean? So I get that.
That would be nice. Second one for me, send the house. Normally, someone is going to say,
do you need to?
Yes. And here's why. One, Karlaftis might not be at full strength for this game. He either might be limited or might not play. It sounds like we'll find out at 5:30 or so, or 5:45, I guess, if not, he is going to play in this game. Even so, even if you get him out there on, a pitch count or just 80% of him or whatever, Russell Wilson this season, according to Pro Football Focus, has an above average to good in their good category of grades when he is kept with a clean pocket and when he is not blitzed. Not against the blitz. He's been very good. A grade of 75, 74 is quite good, according to Pro Football Focus. When pressured, well below average. When blitzed, well below average. My assumption is that I mean, Chris Jones is going to get his. We know that. Dan has been playing really well too. My assumption is your pass rush with your base look is not going to be quite as effective if you don't have the full Karlaftis experience. Got to convince myself of that. The Karlaftis experience in this game. If you don't have him at full strength, you might need to send Snead more often, or Shamari Connor, use him as a blitzer. Leo Chanel, this feels like a game where he could be extremely useful, especially if Bolton is back out there fully ready to go. Sounds like he probably will play. You can use Chanel in that more specialized pass rushing role from the second level. Put him in a situation, Russell Wilson I'm talking about, put him in a situation where he is going to be more prone to mistakes. One other stat from PFF for you. He's been pressured 39.5% of the time this year. So he's been kept clean, actually, a pretty good amount. Now, quarterbacks impact that, actual line play. There's a lot that goes into that. He has what PFF calls a turnover-worthy play almost twice as often when pressured. He's only been pressured under 40% of the time this
Let me
season.
ask you this, the same thing. It's a universal question. To me, the only reason you can blitz and be okay with it is if you're not afraid to get burnt by either the quality of play that the opponent has or your quality of coverage. Do you think the Chiefs have quality coverage?
Yeah, I do.
Then I'm okay with the blitz. Like
the other thing, the thing though that the Broncos have done well early on is their screen game and their quick game. Last year with Russell Wilson, the screen game, the quick game was a disaster. This year, they've made some more plays in the screen game, and that is where they hit some of their big plays. So
Chiefs have been, prone to give up some screens.
Yeah, and I'd be wary of like the 6-7 man pressures, particularly early in the game. I think you're better served trying to win with 4 and just making sure your coverage does the job down the field and that you tackle effectively on the boundary if they're going to try and get Javonte Williams or Jaleel McLaughlin or Samaje Perine involved in the passing game. A lot of what the Broncos do in the passing game is get it out quick. That's why the pressure rate's so low for a quarterback who historically gets sacked a bunch behind an offensive line that doesn't grade that well. How do you keep the pressure rate so low? Get the ball out immediately. And they do that to their running backs, and they do that to their tight ends. And they got Greg Dulcich back tonight, who's their primary tight end. Who's
done well against the Chiefs.
So I expect there are going to be a lot of really quick throws, and the Chiefs are going to be well served, I think, to try their best to win with 4-man coverage. And if they get to a lead in this game and they put the Broncos in a game script where they've got to throw the ball, then absolutely pin your ears back, bring a 5th rusher, bring a 6th rusher, and make them make those big splash plays down the field and make Russell Wilson feel it.
All righty, Dan, what are your 2 keys?
First key for me is start this game fast because the Broncos will. This is the funny thing about how the Broncos have played so far this year. They're 1-4, but they start fast. Their scripted stuff is really good. In 5 games this season, they've scored a touchdown on 4 of the 5 opening drives.
Yeah, that's wild to think about.
They have been very effective scoring the ball. And the one game they didn't was Miami, and they scored in the second drive. So the early stuff, the scripted stuff, the Broncos are really good at that. Do not be surprised if they walk it down the field on the Chiefs and score on their first drive, because their scripted stuff is that good, and they've been doing it to everybody, regardless of how good or not the defense they're playing against is. Trust me, I see it on my Twitter timeline all the time. You know where I'm from. You know I got a lot of friends who are Bronco fans. We see it all the time. Oh, we're riding. Broncos country's riding. We got Russ. He's red hot. And then they stop. Once they get out of the scripted stuff, they're a mess. So if you can get a stop on them in the scripted stuff, if you can hold them to a field goal in that opening drive, or you stop them from scoring, because here's a fun fact about the Chiefs. They haven't allowed any points on the opening drive of a game this year. So something's got to give, right? For the Chiefs, if they can get a stop on the opening drive, if they can blow up Denver's scripted stuff, when the script breaks down, when you go away from the script, what is this Bronco offense really going to have to offer? So get out to a fast start. Defensively, it's important to get an early stop. Offensively, it's important to go out there and score early and take the wind out of Denver's sails.
Let me ask you this then. What do you do if you win the toss?
You still defer.
You still defer? Okay.
Leopard's not going to change his spots on that. Like Andy Reid's going to defer because that's what they do. But like if I were the Broncos, I think I'd take the ball.
Oh, I think you'd take the ball immediately. I think you're right.
So that's a strength of theirs so far, is what they've done on their early drive. So you want to start fast. You don't want to put yourself in a spot you feel like, okay, prime time, home game, night game, special circumstances. We're double-digit favorites. Remember about a year ago today or a year ago yesterday when they played the Raiders on a Monday night and the Raiders jumped out to that 17-0 lead? Of course, the Chiefs came back and won that game, but you'd rather not dig yourself out of a hole on a Thursday night. You want to start fast, and you better be prepared for your opponent to do that. The other thing, my second key, run normal running plays.
Thank you.
You don't have
Dan, like you just said, a cheetah is not going to change his spots. Come on.
I am begging Andy Reid to just run normal running plays. You don't have to do the razzle dazzle, the misdirection, the get to the perimeter type of runs. You don't need to motion everybody out of the backfield so it's Blake Bell faking a handoff to Trey Smith somehow before Isaiah Pacheco gets the ball on a sweep left. You don't need to do that against the worst rushing defense in the NFL. Line it up, play bully ball, get Isaiah Pacheco running hard downhill behind the offensive line, and there will be yardage aplenty. Let the Bronco defense do the work for you because they stink in the trenches and they can't tackle.
All righty. Dan, I love your if you had in charge of the game plan, I'd be fully on board with it. I was like, Dan, that's a great game plan.
Thank you.
Here's the problem.
I'm not.
No, here's the problem is that this is Andy Reid. You're like, play bully ball. No, he never does. Does he run normal plays? No, he doesn't. Like, this is Andy Reid. Like, they could be running it down their throat, and they're nope, gotta throw the football. Gotta throw the football. And here's the thing, and this is why I think the Chiefs win this game, and I think they win this game without a whole lot of worry. But I wouldn't bet on this game because I think Thursday night games are crazy to bet. I really do. Because Thursday night football games are nuts. They are. You just never know. And this is the reason why, if I had to choose, right, if I got to pick a score, I'd take the Broncos to cover. One, because the Broncos, and it's a division game. Divisional teams normally cover, okay? They normally do. Two, it's a Thursday game. And it's also a Thursday game, which means if the Chiefs get up at all, Andy Reid is going to holster it. I would be more surprised if the Chiefs win in a runaway than I would be if the Chiefs win by single digits. I really, really would, because in all honesty, the Thursday night game, just win. Go full Al Davis, man. I don't care how it's done. If they win by 1 point, this is a tremendous victory, because now you get Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off. It does not matter. This is the one game where I do not care if the defense looks good, if the defense looks bad, if the offense looks good, this game is optics don't matter. I will come here and tell you this is the prettiest win on Monday at 2:00 if they just win. It is a Thursday game. I think the Chiefs, the score, you ready for this? The hook has cost me so many damn times in this season when it comes to gambling. Just this last weekend, Colorado got me with the hook. The hook's going to help me out in this situation. If I were betting this, I'd bet the Broncos to cover the 10.5. Chiefs are up 31-14, no real issues, and the Broncos score late. Or the Chiefs are up 28-14, 3 minutes to go in the game. They score a touchdown. They cut it to, single digits. That's what this game feels like. But the Broncos are going to get up for this. If you don't remember, the rookie Quinn Miners said that he just wants to beat the Chiefs so bad, and that they ran the ring around the rosy play, and he thought that was the most disrespectful thing that you can do in football. He goes, that is embarrassing. I just want to beat them so bad. Andy Reid has a chance to do one of the funniest things in the world to a specific singular person. Not very often can you legitimately single out somebody on a national scale without technically singling them out by doing something. And if he does the ring around the rosy play today against the Broncos and then they end up winning, it's the funniest thing in the world. He has a chance to do super troll.
And Andy Reid,
I want him to do it.
No stranger to calling trick plays against the Broncos in primetime.
Hungry pig right, baby. He has a chance to do something so funny.
Was it
funny.
Hungry Pig Right, or was it the play where Poe threw the touchdown pass? Because Hungry Pig Right is one where they threw it to Poe.
I thought that was the one where Poe threw it.
Yeah, against the Broncos, that was it.
He threw it.
Yes, he
I thought that was Hungry Pig Right.
No, Hungry Pig Right was the one where they threw it to Poe.
Okay, either way.
It's like the bubble screen at the goal line, only instead of Travis Kelce, it was...
Yeah, that was against the Raiders.
Okay.
Hungry Pig Right was against the Raiders.
Well, I got 31-21. Chiefs win it, but you couldn't touch me. You couldn't get me to bet at all. Bet Chiefs money line. That's all you need to do there. Bet Chiefs money line. Guaranteed. Lock.
I'm going Chiefs 29, Broncos 16. That's my weird part of this game, is the score is going to look weird. Chiefs are going to win this game. They're the better team. They're the better coached team. And Thursday night games are weird. The disparity between these two teams, I think, is too big for this game to get that weird. And Big Chief, offensive line.
I've got the Chiefs big, 38-20. I think
big.
Big. I don't think the Broncos can stop them. I just, what it comes down to is the Broncos defense has been so bad, and I just don't think that you fix what's broken in a short week. Like,
if they get beat 38-20, this is sound the alarm bells, like, fully, because
they've already sounded the alarm bells. Randy Gregory's already been traded. They restructured Frank Clark's contract today, so he's got a foot out the door.
This is a divisional game, short week. Everything is set to make this a close game, and if you get blitzed, dude.
So 7 of the 15 games in the current streak that the Chiefs have over the Broncos, 7 of the 15 games, including the last, I believe it's the last 3, yes, have been decided by one score.
Yeah.
But that means 8 of 15 games have been decided by more than one score. And in the NFL, like a league that is designed to generate one-score games, there have been more blowouts for the Chiefs than non-blowouts. I think we're getting one tonight, 38-20. And my big chief is Taylor Swift, because I think they're going to spend the whole second half talking about her instead of talking about the game, because I think the Chiefs are going to be up 21-7 at halftime.
I got Isaiah Pacheco, my big chief. Coming up next, we're going to get to Paul Myerberg. We'll finish up a little bit more with the Chiefs and the Broncos. Cruel summer, baby.
I prefer the Ace of Base one.
Bananarama.
Bananarama. Yeah, whichever one came first.
Taylor Swift going to be I want her to be in a Travis Kelce game used jersey. Like, I want this to be full bore, man. I'm excited for that. I like that we got the number one fan, man. She needs to wear the jersey, though. Like back in the day, like we talked about, you got to rock the jersey.
Yeah, respect. You got to, show some love for your man.
Yeah, man, he's going to ball out. He's going to ball.
He'll have a touchdown today.
Yeah,
he will.
I think he'll have a big game. We got a text from 785. Yo, what if the Chiefs lose? Any chance they're overlooking the Broncos and get got?
Any you can get got at any time.
Yeah, that's the whole point of the NFL,
That's
right?
the
Any
NFL.
given
Yeah.
Sunday or
got.
Thursday. But
The Chiefs are not overlooking them.
No.
I might be, but the
Yes.
Chiefs are not.
No.
They are
you,
not.
the fan, are allowed to and talk your talk and
Yeah.
talk about 15 straight and all that. But the Chiefs have been pretty good about not doing that historically against AFC West opponents.
Coming up next, Paul Myerberg joins us to talk Big 12 football.
It's time for one of our favorite segments of the week, breaking down all things Big 12 football with the Big 12 Breakdown, starring our good pal Paul Myerberg of USA Today. Nobody does a better job covering college football for America's newspaper than Paul. Joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline on this Thursday afternoon. All right, Paul, I'll ask you the same thing I've asked you the last few weeks to lead us into the breakdown this week. Number one headline, number one storyline for you from Big 12 football last week was what?
Well, look, it's got to be OU Texas, right? I mean, and we talked about OU having the ability and the opportunity to make a big statement, and I think they did, not just with the win, but the way that it came about. I thought the physicality they played with, you saw 220-pound linemen or linebackers taking on 300-pound linemen, fighting for tackles behind the line of scrimmage, and an aggressive mindset, an aggressive play on both sides of the ball. I know the Big 12 soon to be evaporated, but that to me was the story of the week, not just in the Big 12, but in all of college football. I mean, Texas is still in the mix for it. Obviously, it doesn't change the perspective for them, but it goes to show you that OU's back. And I think that's a statement win for Venables and a statement win for the program coming off the 6th and 7th season.
Yeah, we'll get to more on Red River here in just a moment, because that game, not only was it a great showing for Oklahoma, that was a hell of a game. That was just an incredibly exciting college football game. So we'll get to more on that here in just a couple of moments. I did want to start, though, Paul, with the Kansas Jayhawks, who are 5-1 to start the year for the second season in a row. And they didn't just beat UCF. They romped on UCF this past Saturday. I was there for the game, and I was thinking KU could win it fairly closely. I thought it would be competitive, but that UCF speed might make it difficult. And they just beat the brakes off them for a full 60 minutes. I know UCF dealing with the quarterback situation. They started Plumlee and then pulled him out after 3 plays. I don't know what exactly Gus Malzahn's plan was there. But what impressed you the most about what KU was able to do running for darn near 400 yards over UCF?
Well, that's it, right? I mean, look, I don't want to lose sight of this. And I feel like we talk about this a lot, and I just want to reiterate. Kansas just beat another Power 5 opponent, another conference opponent, 51-22, and they ran for 400 yards. I don't want to lose sight of that. That's remarkable. This was not even a close game whatsoever. It was a close game, not even in the scoreboard, not in the box score, not with your own 2 eyes, and you saw it because you were there. That was a dominant performance. And to me, coming off of Texas, we had questions, right? We wondered, how are they going to rebound? What's the defense going to look like? What's the offense going to look like without Daniels? Those questions have been answered. This is a top 25 team because that's a top 25 performance. So I thought it was a remarkable bounce back, a remarkable statement about that locker room, about this coaching staff, about the program. And very clearly to me, this is a top 25 team. They slipped up against Texas. I understand Texas just lost, but a lot of teams are going to look like that against the Longhorns. It's a top 25 team, truly a top 25 team right now. And you're looking at the second half of the season. Actually, no, let's go back to last year, right? They were 5-1 last year. This 5-1, guys, to me feels a whole lot different. And maybe you don't agree, but I think this 5-1 feels a whole lot different. So I'm looking at the second half of the season. Unlike last year when we were saying, man, just get one more and get to a bowl game. I think you got to start talking about 8 wins or maybe getting to 9 wins with a bowl game, because this is a cohesive, coherent unit that when they are rolling on offense like they were on Saturday, they can get the running game going. I mean, I think the sky's the limit. So an outstanding performance. I really thought so. Probably the best game KU has played under Leipold, start to finish, both sides of the ball.
And I think for me, Paul, the offensive effort, I mean, the run game was unbelievable. And Devin Neal is one of the best running backs in the Power 5, I think. And the guys behind him, Sean McDuffie, they're studs too. Offensive line looked really good. But I think for me, the thing that was the most impressive and long-term, maybe the most important about that win for KU was the fact that they made Jason Bean's life so easy. He only attempted 2 passes in the second half, 12 for the whole game. And with Jalen Daniels not expected to play this week against Oklahoma State, and we'll touch on the Pokes here in a minute, I feel like getting him as many easy completions and easing up on what his role is going to be huge for making sure this offense can continue to put up numbers. How much faith do you think KU should have that Bean can, if he has to keep starting, get them to that 7 or 8 win threshold? And what have you thought about the way they've been able to get him some easy looks over these last couple of weeks?
Yeah, that's a big deal, right? And I think with a guy like Bean, I think the more you have to use him, the more you're going to get in trouble. And that's not a statement about his ability or his lack thereof. It really isn't. It's just a statement about the kind of QB he is. And if you're going to get him into the upper 20s or into the 30s of attempts, you're beginning to roll the dice more and more. And the more chances you take, I think the less you're going to see it from a positive standpoint. So whether or not it's Daniels, and I understand it won't be for at least a little bit, I think the blueprint has to remain the same. You've got 3 backs that you just rolled off that I think should get 10 touches a game. And they did against UCF to a degree because of the fact that in the second half, they just had to kind of weigh on them and push them around. But if you can find a way to split up 30 touches between those 3 guys, or 35 or 38 touches between those 3 guys, that's the recipe for success. And clearly against Oklahoma State, a team that we're going to talk about in a sec, you still have to look at Bean and say, okay, 15 attempts, 18 attempts, 20 attempts. But let's not push the envelope here. So if Oklahoma State is going to allow you to play this style of football and allow you to pull off 4 or 5 yards on first down, I mean, I don't think they can be stopped. And I think Kansas, with that blueprint, can control the clock, can protect Bean, can protect their defense. And it's just top to bottom, guys, a winning formula. Just truly a winning formula to get to that 7 or 8 win threshold.
Our guest is Paul Myerberg of USA Today. He joins us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline for the Big 12 breakdown, as he does every Thursday at this time here on 580 Sports Talk. You can check out Paul's work at USA Today. Find him on Twitter at Paul Myerberg. From Kansas to Kansas State, Paul, and that was a dud from the Wildcats Friday night, going into Stillwater as a double-digit favorite and coming out with 3 turnovers in a 29-21 loss. Just a very un-Kansas State-like effort from that team. Is it a red flag moving forward, or is that something that they can shake off moving forward?
Yeah, I think there's a red flag about it, but very specifically, in a bigger sense, what you said is accurate, and I think we need to keep that in mind. This was very uncharacteristic, and I don't see, when you go through 20 to 25 games in a row where you're playing a certain brand of football, and then you have a Friday night where you play like it's the Ron Prince era. I don't want to say that like this is a warning sign, that this is like what's going to continue. Having said that, you can't keep living like this with Will Howard. You know what I mean? I mean, he's had a pick every game. He had 3 on Friday night. I understand there was a miscommunication probably at the end of the first half that ruined the game for everybody. But you can't keep going out there and throwing 7 picks through 5 games. I mean, you just can't do it. It just can't happen. But what that means in terms of personnel, I leave it to those guys to decide. But that's the warning sign to me, is that you're running out of passing game with a guy that you thought you could trust that you really can't trust anymore, because you can't really rely on that to be an error-free, perfect game. The running game is still working. They're still running the ball. They're still pulling off like these big chunk plays on the ground. They had one against Oklahoma State. These big chunk plays are still a big deal. So that's my concern. Not that they're going to repeat this thing, but even if they dial it back and it gets to be a little more error-free, a little more careful, you're still turning the ball over way too much. So that's just not going to happen for Kansas State right now. You're not going to get back to 9 wins this year and go, 5-1 in the second half if you're going to turn the ball over 1-2 times a game. So they've got to clean that up. Friday night against Oklahoma State, I don't even think it's that big a deal for Oklahoma State. I'm not like leaving that game thinking Oklahoma State has figured it out. I think Kansas State had a really bad game. I also thought Akron was going to beat Northern Illinois. So I'm on the streets right now too. I'm in the poorhouse. So I don't really know what to say that exactly there's a clear fix. But just to me, there's things that need to be cleaned up across the board. But very clearly, if you got to clean up the turnovers, and I trust that they will. But nonetheless, like if this season does not turn out the way that we thought, and this is not a team that's going to play for a Big 12 championship, I do wonder if you got to play the kid at quarterback, play Avery Johnson, get his feet wet, and start to get him into this offense, because you got to start thinking a little bit about what next year is going to look like. It's not a year to throw away, but you got to think about it.
That was a tough one for the Zips on Saturday, Paul.
Oh my God, guys! I was like watching that. I was tuning back and forth, and I was like, "Please, this is bad. I'm going to sound like such an idiot." They didn't just lose, guys. I mean, they didn't just lose. They got absolutely destroyed. Absolutely destroyed. So I'm eating my words right now, and my self-confidence is just at a all-time low.
We'll give you a chance for redemption here in a little bit, Paul, as we speak with Paul Myerberg of USA Today on our Big 12 breakdown. K-State, Texas Tech on Saturday. From one rough road environment, a Friday night, a blackout in Stillwater, to another night game and another blackout, this one in Lubbock, where strange things always seem to happen. Can Kansas State rebound and get a win over the Red Raiders?
Yeah, I think they can rebound, but this is very clearly a toss-up game. I think Kansas State should be favored. If they're not, it's because they're on the road. It's a nighttime game. Texas Tech, nonetheless, despite the fact that they've kind of righted the ship a little bit, I'm not ready to buy into them as a team that's ready to beat a Kansas State if Kansas State is rolling and they're on their game. But this is a tipping point game for the Wildcats, right? Because if you're 3-3 and you're 1-2 in the conference, like what I just mentioned becomes more of a reality. You begin to think about, okay, let's get to 7 wins, let's get to 8 wins, but let's begin to think about what 2024 is going to look like, what 25 is going to look like. I'm not ready to say that yet. I do think they bounce back and win this game. But look, like last time, like you said, they were in a tough road environment in front of a packed house. It didn't go well. So they need to have that kind of mindset of going into this game that, what did we learn from Friday night? What did we learn about how to come out in the first quarter? What did we learn about going down 10-0? What did we learn when it was 10-7 and we had a chance to go into the locker room at 13-7, but then made a mistake late? So I think they're going to learn their lesson from this. My big thing is that this isn't 3 years ago for Kansas State. You know what I mean? I think 3 years ago we would really wonder. I think they've achieved something here underneath this program and this coaching staff that they will bounce back. It's a tight game. I think it will be close. I think Texas Tech obviously still has a lot to play for, but I like Kansas State to bounce back. I think a close game, lower scoring than maybe what we're used to, but I think they bounce back and get a really key win and kind of get their year back on track, essentially.
Like a professional wrestling federation taking their champion off TV for a week, the Big 12 does not feature either Texas or Oklahoma. So it's an opportunity to get a look at the other programs in the Big 12 conference this week. Starting with tonight's game, West Virginia, team off to an interesting 4-1 start. They're at Houston. And again, we're looking at a scenario where none of the Big 12 newcomers have beaten an established Big 12 program. Can Houston change that tonight, or do you like the Mountaineers?
Yeah, I like the Mountaineers. We like the Mountaineers. And we've talked about them a bit the last couple of weeks. And what we like about them, right, guys, is like they are who they are. This is who they are. And I kind of appreciate what Neil Brown has done in terms of like taking the pressure off. Let's dial it back. Let's be simpler. And I think that's a big deal for them. What I've heard about Houston has not been good. And what I've heard about Dana Holgorsen has not been good. I think if they lose this game, which I think they will, and I think if they lose to Texas in a couple of weeks, I think you will really start to hear the drumbeat that this is it. Because I think there are a lot of people around the program who are very, very, very unhappy about the state of things. They're happy that they're in the Big 12. They're very unhappy about how the team looks, how the program is built right now. I just don't trust Houston just to have the mindset, the mentality to fight and push back, because they never have under Holgorsen. Every win that they've had has been cheap. That 12-2 season was cheap. Even last year, 8-5 was cheap. So they're facing a good West Virginia team, the first place team in the Big 12 right now. I don't like Houston's chances in this one. I think when they get into this kind of dogfight against a tough team, like a bunch of dogs like West Virginia, I think they're going to melt a bit. So I like West Virginia. Again, like, I don't think West Virginia is built to win 31-10. I think they're going to win like 24-13 or something like that. But from what we've seen from Houston, what we've seen from West Virginia, these seem like two teams that are not built in a similar way. And I just don't like the way Houston is manufactured against this sort of opponent. So I'll take West Virginia. And like I said, just keep your ear to the ground on Holgorsen, because I think by the end of this month, it might just be a foregone conclusion for Houston that they're just going to eat this buyout and start to move forward with someone else beginning next season.
You're listening to the Big 12 Breakdown on 580 Sports Talk on this Thursday afternoon. And joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline is Paul Myerberg of USA Today. He joins us for the Big 12 Breakdown every single Thursday during the college football season. And Paul, just to the point about the coaches in this matchup tonight, West Virginia versus Houston, if you had told me 3 months ago that all of a sudden West Virginia fans were going to be singing the praises of Neil Brown, I would have told you you were nuts. He might be fired by this point in the year, but all of a sudden he's got them rolling. Meanwhile, I have to imagine West Virginia fans also probably want to see nothing but the worst for Dana Holgorsen, given how his time in Morgantown ended as well. It's just kind of amazing how much the narrative has flipped. I know Houston's been not thrilled with Dana for a while, but why has that gone so badly? And by the same token, has Neil Brown saved his job in Morgantown?
Oh, that's the Neil Brown thing's easy. That's absolutely right. I don't think he's going to get necessarily a contract extension or a rework deal. I think you're going to see them put into some sort of effect a deal that makes clear to recruits and elsewise that he's going to be here for the next 4 or 5 years, or at least they're going to have that perception. So he's definitely saved his job. Looking at Holgorsen, I think the issue has been pretty simple. The recruiting has not been good enough. They've missed on transfer guys. They've also lost transfer guys. I mean, obviously, De'Aaron King's the big one. And I think just the way that he's built this roster is not built necessarily to combat the Big 12. It's not built right now with the dudes that they need to run the scheme that they want to run and do it effectively against these better teams. So I think in the big picture, Holgorsen is not an easy guy to like. I mean, ask the people in West Virginia. And at the same time, the things have never taken off. And they were 12-2, as cheap as it was, and they never built on it. So I think there's a feeling of a missed opportunity around Houston. At the same time, there are people at Houston that want to spend money on this program, that have been waiting for this moment. So I think that getting that buyout, whether right now it's 20, it gets down to 18, 16, 14 in future dates, that's not going to be a problem. And I don't think paying the next guy is going to be a problem. I think there's a hunger there. And Holgorsen has never really scratched that itch at all. So there's just a general dissatisfaction. I think there are a lot of ways that it could have done better. But Holgorsen has been a swing and a miss. Despite the fact that he's above 500, it's been a swing and a miss for Houston. There's no question about it.
Just a couple of quick questions outside the Big 12, Paul, as we wrap things up on this Thursday afternoon. There are some really good games on the schedule, some really interesting matchups on the schedule across Division I this weekend. I know Notre Dame USC is going to have a ton of eyeballs. That game will be on Saturday night. I think Oregon State versus UCLA and Corvallis will have a lot of intrigue. But the game of the weekend to me, and certainly the AP poll, number 8 Oregon at number 7 Washington. Last time those two teams will face off as Pac-12 members before they join the Big Ten next year. Who you got in that one? Washington and Michael Penix, or Oregon and Dan Lanning's resurgent defense?
Yeah, I want to take Washington because of this kind of simple idea. Washington is a lot like Joe Burrow LSU back in 19. They're not as talented, but in terms of being able to flip a switch, they're almost unmatched these last couple of years of college football. You will watch them play, and it'll be 13-10 in the second quarter. You'll go get a sandwich. It'll be 34-10. They've got this ability to put up 21 points in 3 minutes of game time. That's hard to defend. Still, Oregon, what if you watch Oregon play, they have not played necessarily close games, but the evolution of this program has been so obvious under Dan Lanning. They are extremely physical. They are very aggressive. They are angry on defense. They are defined right now on defense, not offense, as good as this offense can be. I watch Oregon play, and I think they might be one of the top 3 or 4 teams in the country. So I like Oregon to win this game, even on the road, even against this Washington team. And I think when they do that, I think a lot of people are going to stand up and take notice. Right now, I think it's Georgia, Michigan, no doubt. Number 1, number 2, whatever order you want to put it in. Oregon's going to have a chance to make a statement. They're number 3 team in the country, maybe number 4 behind Ohio State. So this is an opportunity. I think they grab it. They're not going to stop Washington, but they are the more complete team. There's no doubt about it. Both sides of the ball, they are the more complete team. They're probably one of the most complete teams in the country. So I like Oregon to weather the storm, essentially, and win a game that gets up into the 30s, maybe into the 40s.
All right, last thing we got to do, Paul, our dumpster garbage pick of the week. We're 1-1 so far through the last 2 weeks. This week's schedule does not feature a lot of awful team versus awful team matchup. Now, we get games like UMass going to Penn State or Indiana going to Michigan, which will not be pretty games. Those might be very ugly matchups, but not a lot of garbage versus garbage. So I think the one I'm going to go with this week, I think I'm going Temple at North Texas down in Denton. That's an 11 o'clock kickoff. North Texas not really riding that wave they were riding a few years ago. Temple is back to, unfortunately, being Temple. Who you got in that one down in North Texas?
Okay, guys, I really got to think this through. We cannot have a repeat of last week. Temple's got Kurt Warner's kid.
Yeah.
And when Kurt Warner's kid gets rolling, like they'll lose 48-31, and he'll be like 31-36 for 500 yards and 5 scores. He has that ability. He also has this opportunity to like throw 3 picks before you sit down in the morning. So I'm going to take North Texas here. I'm doing this like my confidence, guys, is shot. It is shot. I'm taking North Texas. I think they're a touchdown favorite. I'm not even going to say they're going to cover it. I'm going to go with the Mean Green. Also, I'll tell you, speaking of Mean Green, I once ate lunch at an Olive Garden with Mean Joe Green in Denton, Texas, a professional highlight. So let's go Mean Green. Get this done for me, guys. Get this done for me. Let's get the 2-1. Straight up pick, by the way, not -6.
All right, we are going to put a pin in that story because at some point I need to hear about Mean Joe Green in Denton, Texas. But we've got to get to a break. Paul Myerberg joins us every Thursday during the Big 12 football season for the Big 12 Breakdown on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. Go check out his work in USA Today at usatoday.com, and you can find him on Twitter at Paul Myerberg. We appreciate it as always, Paul. Thanks so much for the time, and enjoy the games this weekend.
Okay, thank you, guys.
That is Paul Myerberg joining us before a busy college football weekend for this week's Big 12 Breakdown. Coming up in the 3 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk today, is Frank Clark going to be on the move? Is he going to be looking for a return home? Maybe reunited with his good pal Chris Jones? We'll get to that. We've got our high school whip-around with Rick Peterson from TopSports.news, and we'll play some either-or over-under. All that is coming up after the news at the top of next hour here on 580 Sports Talk.
580 Sports Talk on this game day edition. Thank you so much for joining us. Jake LeBon, Brennan Dworzinski, Dan Lucero with you on this Thursday. You just heard the Ghost Your Bills word.
Dirt.
D-I-R-T.
Dirt.
In harmony that time.
That's
Dirt.
nice.
Once again, go to 580wibw.com. Click on the Ghost Your Bills image. Plug in the word dirt. And you got a chance to win from 580 WWW. Ghost Your Bills. It only is good for this hour. Then in the 4 o'clock hour, there'll be another word. Then the 5 o'clock hour. Got to be 18 to play. Can't be related to any of us.
No, you cannot. I'm looking at the post right now. If you go to 580wibw.com, you've got the link to our YouTube feed right in the middle. If you didn't want to go to YouTube itself, it's right there. Easy way to find it. And right below that, right below where it says 580 Sports Talk, Thursday, October 12th, 2023, you will see win $2,000 from WIBW and Ghost Your Bills. That's where you click.
Dirt.
If I could play, I would play right now. And where it says keyword here, I would type dirt. And if I didn't want to break the rule, I would just hit next.
Dude, just hit enter. Let's see what happens.
I'm afraid that the police are going to come.
They're not. They're not.
I have to submit my email address now.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, you could.
I don't want to.
I know, but I'm saying you could. It's not like the world's going to come crashing down. It's not like,
Do we know that?
Yes, we do. We do.
Okay.
We do. I know that.
It's a lot of confidence.
Yeah. I got confidence. Just like the Chiefs got confidence. Tonight, 6 o'clock, pregame coverage, Chiefs Radio Network right here, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9. We're going to talk with Rick Peterson at the bottom of the hour, little either or coming up. We got our Thursday night Chiefs parlay bets coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. Got a good one. Feeling it.
Are we following any sort of rule, or is it just anything we want? Like when we used to do them in conjunction with the no sweat Thursday night bets, that was always every leg had to be minus 400 or longer odds. You couldn't be like, oh yes, I think Chiefs plus 40 in this game at minus 11,000. Couldn't do that. Yeah, give me the Chiefs getting 40.
We can do alternate spreads, just maybe not like that.
Okay. No, I mean, I didn't know if we had to have certain odds on it or not.
No.
I want to make sure I get the rules right here. Always been a big rules guy. Love following rules.
My son, big rule follower.
That's good. He hasn't been jaded by the world yet and want to break all of them.
No, he's a rule follower. He doesn't want to get in trouble. The other day, he did something he shouldn't have, and then 10 minutes later, he looked at both me and my wife and goes, Mom, Dad, I am so sorry. I love you. And I was like, yeah. And then my daughter, absolute opposite.
Anarchist.
She will look you in the eye and say, no. It's quite interesting in our household right now.
Again, if you would just let your son come hang out with me, and we could have watched Clerks the other night when it was on, I could teach him a whole lot about
here's
not
the thing.
following societal norms.
You can come hang out with them. We got Disney Plus. You can watch it, but you better get up. He gets up at 5:45 every damn morning.
Sometimes I'm barely in bed by then. That's fine.
Yeah. There you go.
You said you wanted to get up and watch TV at 1 the other day. And perfect.
No.
1 o'clock for most people is like my 9:30.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Plenty of time.
Absolutely ridiculous. Go to bed. Both of you. I'm talking about you and I'm talking about my son. Both of you go to bed. Very simple. It sounds like Travis Kelce's going to play. Nick Bolton is going to play. Karlaftis, a little to be determined in this situation. But I want to get to the old Denver Broncos. Denver's going through stuff right now. And I think if this were, let's say this were next year, I think they'd have a new quarterback and a new everything like at this time next year. But because Russ is still under contract for this year and next year, they just hired Sean Payton. I think George Payton is fired.
The general manager.
He is gone.
Yeah,
he is gone.
He's dead man walking. Yeah.
They don't have a first round draft pick this year because they, traded it for Mr. Unlimited.
No, then they went and got one for Bradley Chubb, and then they traded that one for Sean Payton.
Yes. So they don't have a first-round pick this coming year, and
no, they're back in the first round this coming year.
Yeah.
It was last year.
it was last year. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they're trying to get even more picks because they know this is not going well at all. Their free agent signings have not been great. Frank Clark, I don't know why they offered him that kind of money. We all could have told you that. Well, Frank Clark is now going to either be traded or he is going to be cut because they worked out some money to be saved and lost if you are Frank Clark. So Frank Clark...
Man, it's taken a lot of pay cuts in the last 2 years.
He has. So Frank Clark is either going to be a free agent or they are going to trade for him. Before anyone says anything, no. N-O. No. Do not trade for Frank Clark. Do not sign Frank Clark. You don't need Frank Clark. Frank Clark was a Chief and is a very good Chief in the playoffs and part of Sack Nation. I don't care that Chris Jones and Frank Clark are BFFs and they are a part of Sack Nation.
So
I don't want Frank Clark. You're getting Charles Omenihu. You've got Omenihu, Chris Jones, Karlaftis, Dana, Felix Enudike-Uzama. You've got enough. And if anybody that you are going to go out and sign, it would be Carlos Dunlap.
Why him over Clark?
Because I think Carlos Dunlap has got more juice than Clark. I think there's more good football in Carlos Dunlap than Frank Clark. That's just how I look at it. It was a good run, but there's no need to bring. But you've already, and I don't even.
Who
know
had more sacks last year between Dunlap and Clark?
Probably Clark.
Yeah, 5-4.
Yeah, I would still take Carlos Dunlap over Frank Clark.
But
I don't know if you need him at either one of them.
You might not.
Once Omenihu comes back, you've got 5 pass rushers.
One thing that I do think, and most teams do not have a problem with this. The teams that do really have a problem with doing things like this, but they don't generally go out and sign guys for this, for the sake of nostalgia, essentially. Let's get back together for one more run. They have been very good about not doing that.
The only person that they've done that with is CJ Spiller. And that was more of a year-long situation.
Yeah. And that was more so just continually canceling and re-signing an insurance policy as opposed to signing a beloved team member.
Deciding, we need Netflix for this month because they put a cool new documentary out and then canceling immediately.
Yeah. When the Packers gave Aaron Rodgers a new deal and he's like, okay, I'll sign it. You have to go get Randall Cobb. And they're like, okay, sure. That is what I'm talking. Or the Patriots being like, you know what? Come on, J.C. Jackson. Come on back into the fold. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. The Chiefs generally don't do that.
No, and they don't need Frank Clark. They don't.
No, if someone gets hurt, okay, my Dana gets hurt, okay, he has to go on IR second half of the season. If you were to tell me, you know what, we're gonna go make a move, we're gonna go add Dunlap, or we're gonna add Clark, either one of them, because we do need a body. They're gonna be last in the rotation. They're gonna play 15 snaps a game, whatever.
They might even be inactive some games.
Yeah, if you were to say that, I would say, you know what, I think it's worth it.
But right now, I'm not gonna bank on someone's gonna go on.
No.
I'm just saying at this point in time, do not trade for him. Do not.
Yeah, definitely
sign
don't
him.
trade him.
Don't do anything like that.
I agree with that.
Frank Clark, his time is over in Kansas City. I would rather have somebody else. And if anything, you're taking reps away from Felix Enudike-Uzama. He needs more of the reps. That's been nice to see with Omenihu out, that you saw, Felix play pretty well. I mean, he's done okay.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to get many reps after Thursday because Omenihu, now he hasn't been allowed in the facility. So he's been gone for 6 weeks, but I'm guessing that he's kept himself in shape and he'll hit the ground running. Plus you get, an extra, couple days. He can get back in the office, I believe.
The Monday.
It's not, he can't come Friday. He can't come tomorrow.
Yeah, it has to be after the week is over.
The week is over.
Yeah.
So, but that's why people, I know Chris Jones and him are buds. No need for that.
So let me ask you this, both of you. What if Omenihu's not great? And I'm not saying that he's going to be bad. In fact, I think he's a nice fit for this team. Just hypothetically speaking. What if he doesn't give you anything?
I'll be surprised because he was pretty good in the preseason, and he's a good pass rusher inside. And if you get a Menahu one-on-one because Chris Jones is going to get double-teamed, and you get one-on-one inside, I think Menahu's I will actually be very surprised if he's not good.
Yeah, he's going to have favorable matchups, and he can win one-on-one on the interior at a level that, like, we've seen Mike Dana do it, but I don't think he's as good at it as a Menahu is. I think a Menahu's got a lot better chance on those 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, where you're rushing 4 and you need your 4 to win up front, that a Menahu one-on-one with a guard is going to create more havoc more often than when you're asking Mike Dana to do the same.
Yep.
So I don't know what the production is going to look like. His career high in sacks is 4.5. But he's never been a full-time starter. That's the other thing, too, with Menahu, is he's always been a rotational guy. And that may be the role he's in Kansas City. But to be able to rush the interior next to Chris Jones, that is a role where whoever it is, if they've got any ability to win consistently one-on-one, they should feast. And that's why I'm so high on Menahu, because he has that established skill set. And I don't know that there's been an interior pass rusher next to Chris Jones quite like that.
For what it's worth, just to back up the argument from both of you guys, last year among all edge rushers, Charles Menahu had 62 total pressures. That was tied for 13th in the entire NFL. And he was the only player, he was one of 2 players in the top 20 to have only 477 or fewer snaps. So he was getting to the quarterback at a much higher rate than a lot of guys. So which is a good sign for the Chiefs, I think.
All righty. Also, there are some reports out from various sources that the Broncos are going to be shopping one Jerry Jeudy. Now, I thought Jeudy would be a lot better than what he has been, because I thought he was a much better route runner. There were a lot of wide receivers that draft class that I thought he was going to be the best. When Jeudy fell all the way to the Broncos, like when Devonta Smith was drafted and the Eagles got him, I was like, damn, the Eagles, that's so smart. They're so good. Like Devonta Smith was the Slim Reaper is gonna get paid. He's good. I like Devonta Smith, but I didn't think Ruggs would be any good. And I thought Jeudy would. Well,
that was a crazy class because CeeDee Lamb was in that one too.
Yep. But Jeudy apparently going to be on the move. One NFC executive saying that they've already had internal discussions about a possible deal. This is the start of tearing it all down for the Broncos. If I were to tell you, okay, who are the 2 best players on offense, or the 3 best players on offense for the Broncos non-quarterback division, you would have probably said what? Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, and Javonte Williams, right?
Yeah.
So one of your 3 best players is going to be on the move. And then defensively going into this year, who would have been your 3 best defensive players? I would have said Pat Surtain, probably Justin Simmons. And then you went and you signed Randy Gregory. Like you expected Randy Gregory to produce.
They signed him 2 years ago, but yeah,
but you expect him to produce.
Either him or Baron Browning.
If you give him $75 million, you definitely expect him to produce.
And already you're moving on from another one of those guys. Like you're talking 2 of your top 6 guys who are no longer on your team. Like they're gone. And I think that's just the start of it. And this defense, as I said yesterday, has turned into Peyton Manning. Like all of a sudden they went from overnight being bad or being good to now they're not very good.
And it's not good at anything.
So that's why this is the start of it for the Denver Broncos.
And
like,
I wonder what that does for like vibes. Is when the Bears came to Arrowhead Stadium to play the Chiefs, the vibes were horrendous for the Bears. They've improved since, but like the vibes were horrific for the Bears coming in, and they performed accordingly.
Yeah.
The vibes have not been great for the Broncos this year, and now they've had a short week full of trade rumors. Nothing but trade rumors. Jerry Jeudy is sniping at Rod Smith, who in Broncos annals, Jerry Jeudy can't hold Rod Smith's jock, and he's sniping at
It's
him.
Missouri Southern State Lion Rod Smith, by the way.
He was so good for so long.
Got Twitter fingers, and he's sniping at people. He's sniping at Mark Schlereth on Twitter.
Well, I get that.
But you gotta
I get that.
like Jerry Jeudy's a bum. Like he is.
Mark
he's
Schlereth won
closer
2 Super Bowls in Denver. Like I don't like him on TV either, but he's certified. He's a made man.
Yeah.
He won in that town. Jerry Jeudy's just dropped passes and tweeted about Big Bird. That's all he's ever done.
Yeah.
The streets are funny though.
Yeah.
What if Big Bird got traded for a conditional 6th?
Well, what do you give up for Jerry Jeudy? He's got 2 years left on his deal. This year, next year.
I wouldn't give anything higher than a 4th round pick.
Yeah, 4th. Probably
I'm
a
with
4th.
you. I'm with you.
And he hasn't been good. That's the thing that's always the bad look when you're not winning and not good, and you're the one sniping and acting like you're up against a wall. Like, dude, you made this decision for yourself. You put yourself in this position. The one comment I wanted to make about the Broncos defense, because for years, truly up until the last couple of weeks, because it even wasn't the discussion to start the season, was like, what have they genuinely done to improve that defense since 2015 other than draft Pat Surtain? Like, what legitimate game changer kind of moves have the Broncos made? Because Elway got the credit in 2015 for building up that defense, and Vaughn was there.
Von Miller.
The defensive backfield was incredible.
They signed DeMarcus Ware. They put together the defensive backfield with Aqib Talib and Chris Harris.
The linebackers were good with Woodyard and with
Trevathan.
Trevathan and the other Brandon Marshall. Like, that was a legitimately all-time great defense. And it was good for several years. Guys retire, guys move on, they leave, for whatever number of reasons. But they've had that reputation for like 7 years, essentially, of, Bronco defense. They can ride that defense. None of those dudes are left. Their starting lineup on their defensive side of the ball is awful.
Justin Simmons is the only one, but
he is dropping off.
He's went kind of full Peyton Manning. All of a sudden, kind of fell off a cliff a little bit.
They don't have playmakers at linebacker. Nick Benito's having a nice season, but he's not yet like. Maybe he becomes the guy you have to game plan around. Maybe Baron Browning is that guy, but he hasn't played all year.
Yeah, he's hurt.
Opposite of Patrick Surtain, you have Damari Mathis, who might be the worst starting cornerback in the league. The numbers people put up against him, he's toast. Kareem Jackson is 35 and getting ejected from every other game for a dirty hit. They don't have dudes on that side. Like, they signed Zach Allen. Zach Allen is a good complementary player, but when you pay that guy the money they paid him in free agency, he needed to be a little more than a complementary player.
No, they just have they have
got
nobody.
A sack and a half in 5 weeks. Yeah, it's just it's bad players, it's bad scheme, it's bad execution, it's everything.
Doug, Tremont Smith is on there too deep.
Chief great.
Former Chief. Tremont Smith, he is still in the NFL. He's on the Bronco too deep.
Yeah.
Like, it's ugly, man.
It's real bad. Coming up next, little either or, over under, and then we'll talk with Rick Peterson. Charles Menahu.
Under.
Under?
Yeah, under.
He's going to play 11 games.
Yep.
He plays in all the ones he's eligible for.
Yep.
Honestly, 5 sounds about right. I'll go over. I'll say over for the sake of debate here. A lot of one-on-ones on the interior. He's going to be the interior guy on third downs next to Chris Jones in those obvious passing situations. And I think he'll be able to make some hay coming off the edge as well, because I think he's a 3-down player. So, yeah, I think he'll clear 5.
If I put it at 4?
Under.
3.5.
I mean, I'd probably give you 3 as my answer.
So you think he's going to get 3 sacks?
Yeah, that'd be mine. And then, I mean, I think he's going to be an impact player. I think my only counter to the point about seeing a lot of one-on-ones, double teams don't really matter to Chris Jones. Like, he beats them anyway. Oh, man. Dan, you had the chart the other day. We were looking at it in the office, the double team rate. I think ESPN keeps track of this.
Yeah.
Pass rush win rate on one axis versus how often you're double teamed on the other. Chris Jones and Aaron Donald, traditionally, over the last 5 years or so, they're in the Mahomes territory where they're in the right corner all the way at the top. Like, no one's even touching them. And then it's everybody else after that. If you add him, he's probably going to get some good looks and some good one-on-one matchups. You can bring him in off the edge. You can do all sorts of games up front with him. That's nice. But, like, Karlaftis is going to get his. Dana's been playing really well. And Jones is going to get his.
I'm going to take the over with you, Dan. I think Menahu's going to be good. And I do think that he could get a sack every other game. So I'm going to take the over. I think he'll end up with right around 5 sacks.
Man, that's just hard for me for a guy who's played 4 years and doesn't even have 12.
Yeah, but I think he's going to get starter level snaps at a rate that he hasn't before. Because I think he starts at the end opposite Karlaftis and then kicks inside on third down.
I'm going to take the over.
Over under 7.5 wins for Kansas this year,
including the bowl.
No, regular season. Vegas rules, no bowl game.
Over.
Yeah, I'll take the over too. I think 8 sounds like the number.
I think they're going to win 3 more.
Particularly if they win this weekend. My only hesitation is, like, can we really take anything from UCF? Like, is there anything you can take away from bullying that team, which might have the worst D-line front 7 in the Big 12?
I think you can, because they did it. They just shoved, and the teams that they're going to face on their schedule, some of them don't have great defensive linemen. Like they need 3 more wins, right? If you beat Oklahoma State, you'll probably beat a Baylor, or you'll beat
Baylor,
or not a Baylor. Who am I thinking of? Houston.
Don't play Houston either.
Cincinnati.
It's both Oklahoma schools: Iowa State, K-State, Texas Tech, Cincinnati.
Yeah, I think they're going to win 3. Yeah, I think they're going to get to 8.
Yeah, they've got 3 wins in that for sure.
I think so too. I think the thing you can take from the UCF game is less so the production and more so the plan. And I think Paul is right when we talked to Paul Myerberg last hour that even when, assuming that it is a when, not an if, Jalen Daniels comes back, he can obviously do more with his arm than Jason Bean can. But you should rely on the physicality and athleticism of this offensive line, plus your running backs, to be the focal point of this offense. And I think from the UCF game, we got an example of, okay, this is what KU wants to do, especially with Bean in at quarterback, to get easy completions in the pass game, a lot of deep play action looks, and then to dominate and focus on the ground. I think the strategy is more so what you take from that game.
Little update here. James Palmer tweets out, the Chiefs will take a look at George Karlaftis pregame, but right now the expectation is he'll play tonight, but he'll be on a pitch count. That is according to a source.
That would mean more snacks, presumably, for Felix and DK.
Did you say snacks?
I did hear snacks.
I said snaps.
Oh, I thought you said snack.
Maybe I did.
I thought maybe I heard snack too.
Maybe we've been talking about sacks, and I meant to say snaps, and they combined. It's very possible.
Or you're thinking about snacks.
I was saying, you hungry?
I'm always thinking about snacks.
Yeah.
To be honest with you guys.
I thought I heard snacks. I'm not going to lie to you. I was like, maybe we want some snacks. More Felix. I like it. I'm on board with that.
Yeah.
Over under the end of the first quarter, our first in-game shot of Taylor Swift in the booth or in the suite at Arrowhead Stadium.
All right. Now, I have seen that Amazon Prime broadcaster Al Michaels has spoke about how they're not going to overdo it.
I have his quotes. Would you like me to read them?
He did say that in a podcast with Jimmy Trana of SI.
Yes. He said, quote, "What we're going to do tonight, everything in moderation."
Yeah.
Our crew talked about it this morning. You can't make a sideshow the show. The vast majority of the audience are tuning in to watch a football game. There are people, I don't know how many, it could be a sizable number, but it's certainly not a majority, that if you train the camera on her all night long, they'd be satisfied with that. This is not what we're going to do. I mean, Amazon Prime could do that. They've got alternate feeds. They could do Taylor Cam, probably. There might be an appropriate shot or a couple. I don't know what the number is going to be. If Kelsey scores 6 touchdowns, who the hell knows what we're going to do? But for the most part, just in moderation, the game is still the important element here by far. That's our thought. After that, you sort of make it, one of my favorite words, farcical.
The answer is before. She will get shown before the end of the first quarter.
I'm saying in game because I think they'll show her before kick. They'll be she's in the building.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
In game, you think they'll get her in before the first?
I think so.
Quarter.
First target, Travis Kelce gets. First time the ball is in his vicinity. Oh yeah.
That doesn't sound like moderation to me.
I don't know about that.
Oh no,
You think?
yeah. 3rd and 6. Mahomes drops back. Tight end stick nod, 15-yard gain right up the right hash. Kelce lunges out like he's on a surfboard, points forward, first down. They're going to put Taylor Swift on TV. Absolutely.
All right, we're going to watch it tonight. You heard it here first.
No later than Kelsey's first catch.
They're going to do it coming out of a TV timeout in the first quarter, would be my guess.
Yeah.
But
I just want her to wear his jersey. I think that'd be so cool.
She's definitely not wearing his jersey.
Over under 8.5 total shots.
Over.
I'll take the under there.
I'm going under there too.
That's too many.
I'm going over. You know what? A lot of Swifties probably have Amazon Prime.
Yes.
They got to buy every piece of merch that exists.
Yes. Correct.
I think there's going to be a lot of those folks tuned into this game.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
Coming up next, Rick Peterson joins us to talk a little high school football.
Joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline is the one and only Rick Peterson from TopSports.news. Nobody covers our local teams, high school, and Washburn University as well, throughout Shawnee County and Topeka better than Pistol, and he does so again at TopSports.news. Head to the website for all of his fantastic coverage of our local teams. You can go find him on Twitter as well. His handle is at Peterson_Rick. Pistol, what's going on, man? How are you?
Oh, doing great. Getting ready to head to a league cross-country meet, and then other than a pretty bit brisk wind, it's a nice day.
That was always, in my very, very brief career as a cross-country runner in high school, the worst was getting the wind right in your face as you're running. By the way, Pistol, let's get a little quick preview of league cross-country coming up today. What are we going to be seeing?
Well, you'll probably see Jackson Esquivel win the UKC boys race, and you'll probably see Ryan Miller of Seaman win the UKC girls race. And I would think Seaman's got a chance to be in the hunt for both team titles.
We've gotten to talk to both Jackson Esquivel from Shawnee Heights and Ryan Miller from Seaman on our Lewis Toyota High School Athletes of the Week throughout this fall season. When it comes to getting beyond league, the UKC is the league we're speaking of, and getting on to things like state this year, how do you think those two stack up to the competition?
Very good. Ryan was 5th in 5A last year as a freshman, and Jackson has to be close to that. I can't remember right off the top of, but he's a 2-time state placer in 5A and a state champion in track and a state runner-up in track. So they're towards the top of the list anytime they're running.
Yeah, they've got legitimate state championship first place hopes this year for both of those two. So excited to hear what happens at UKC cross country coming up a little bit later on today. Pistol, on the gridiron, I'll ask you what I've been asking you week after week. We're through now, what would it be, 3/4 of the regular season in high school football. What was your number one headline from week 6?
Probably Seaman coming back like they did. I thought they would. There's two. First of all, Seaman coming back like they did. I thought they would beat Leavenworth. I didn't think they'd beat Leavenworth 56-0. My second one was, hey, I wasn't picking Rossville to beat Holton. Both of those teams have such a proud tradition, but Rossville playing at Holton, and they handled them. I mean, 21-0. So those are the two that stick out in my mind.
Let's start things off here then, Pistol, with the Seaman Vikings you just mentioned. And after a few losses in a row and close ones, that crazy game against Shawnee Heights back in the middle of September, a 1-score loss on the road to Lansing, and then that long trip to Jeff City to take on Blair Oaks in a game that did not go the Vikings' way. For them to come out and win as handily as they did against Leavenworth, what do you think that can do for them confidence and momentum-wise going into a matchup this week with Basehor Linwood, and then they've still got Kansas City Piper on the schedule as well? How important long-term do you think that win last week was?
Well, it put them back in the race to host a 5A playoff game. You know, I think they're 9 right now, and the top 8 will host. So, and this is a really big game for both Seaman and Basehor Linwood. Basehor Linwood's 4A, and they're in the same situation. They're trying to wrap up a home berth. So it was very big, and I think we'll see going forward that it helped them get back on track.
By the way, one real quick note, and this is not something we need to worry about right now, but Pistol, when the reclassifications came in last week, how happy do you think Seaman was to find out they're going to be on an opposite side of the bracket from Blue Valley Southwest going forward?
Oh, yeah. No, I'm sure they, you try not to think about those things as a program, but, hey, it's been a nail in their side, so yeah, no, I think they were probably very happy. Now there's somebody else is going to replace Blue Valley Southwest up in that area that's going to be probably just as good, but I'm sure they did welcome that.
We're chatting with Rick Peterson. It is the Lewis Toyota High School Whiparound here on 580 Sports Talk. Go check out Pistol's fantastic work covering all of our local high school teams in Topeka and throughout the county over at TopSports.news. The game we had this past Friday night, Pistol, Shawnee Heights taking down Wamego 12-7. And if you knew nothing about that game other than the score, you might think, wow, what an ugly game. That was a fantastic football game and an unbelievable effort by the Shawnee Heights defense, not giving up a single offensive touchdown to Wamego in that contest. This is now a Heights team that gets West tomorrow and Leavenworth next week. I think a 6-2 regular season is certainly in the cards for them, Pistol.
Yeah, and the thing is, you asked me the games that stood out. That would have been the third one. I mean, there was some really good games this week and some important games. And for, because Heights got beat by Wamego last year, for them to come back and get that win, I think it puts them, and like you said, with what they have coming up, it puts them in a great frame of mind going in. You're getting closer to postseason anyway.
I would imagine, too, that it's valuable for the Shawnee Heights team, or really for any team, they're just the best example right now, to be able to show you can win a multitude of games and a multitude of different styles of games, right, Pistol? Because they've got big, high-scoring blowout wins. They've had high-scoring close wins. They've now got a low-scoring close win. I imagine seeing a lot of different in-game scenarios has got to be useful when we get to the postseason, when you're going to have tough games week in and week out.
I think it just gives you confidence that you can handle certain types of games, like you just mentioned. You don't have to score 40 to win. You don't have to hold a team to 2 touchdowns to win. You got to feel like no matter what the style is that week, you can at least compete.
I mentioned that it will be Shawnee Heights taking on Topeka West coming up tomorrow. That'll be our Lewis Toyota High School Football Game of the Week right here on 580 WIBW. Shawnee Heights coming off a big win, but it was a big win last week for Topeka West as well. They beat Kansas City Turner, a team that we haven't gotten to see in person, but from every coach I've talked to in the city who has seen them have said, hey, that's a Turner team that's not the same that they've been in recent years. They have been certainly improving, and Topeka West went out there and beat them by 20, 35-15. I got to talk to Trey Parker earlier today, and I think it just has to feel good and relieving for that program, Pistol, to finally get a win for their head coach, Trey Parker, for that program this year. And now that you've moved on beyond that, you can start to focus on some other things.
Yeah. I mean, when I've talked to Trey, we've talked about what it's going to take to build that program. Well, you can't build that program until you start getting a taste of success. And that gives them a taste of success. Now they can hopefully show some more, strides going forward in the last few games of this season, and then get ready for, use the off season to get ready for next year.
I know we talked about Josh Nitschke at Topeka West last week a little bit. Pistol, he's now got 6 touchdowns, 4 of which have been for 45 yards or longer in the last 2 weeks. That's a pretty impressive run for someone who wasn't even playing varsity football a year ago.
No, and that's the thing. He had to play JV last year because of a transcript type thing, and now he's been a bright spot for them throughout the season. And there's been some others, but he definitely has been as a newcomer. And I don't know what level, because I'm not very good at that thing. I never agree with what the scouts say a lot of times, but I think he can play college football.
He's definitely got the athleticism and the power, seeing him go both ways for that Topeka West team. Sticking with the 5A East bracket right now, because all these Topeka teams are going to be impacting one another when it comes to the seeding when we get to the Week 9 playoff round in just a couple of weeks. Highland Park, now 4-2 on the year in the Meadowlark Conference. They had a tough one this past Thursday night when they took on Atchison, and that's a good Atchison team. There's no denying that. We got to see that game, and they're talented, they're fast, they're strong, they've got everything you could want, and I think they're going to be a painful team to try to knock out when we get to the postseason. But for Highland Park, how important is it to bounce back quickly if you're Jermaine Monroe's group after a couple straight losses?
Well, very important for several reasons. So one, Jermaine told me last week they were without 20 kids, 11 varsity for a variety of reasons. And hopefully they get some of those people back tonight. But, Highland Park needs this one to solidify their playoff spot. So I think they will. I think they will bounce back. I think it is very important for them. And they're playing a winless team. So, you go from playing an undefeated team last week to a winless team this week. So hopefully that will give you some more confidence.
And Highland Park will be taking on Northeast High School from Kansas City, Missouri, coming up tonight. In fact, that game at Hummer Sports Park as Highland Park tries to get back in the win column. We're talking to Rick Peterson from TopSports.news. It's the Lewis Toyota High School Whiparound here on 580 Sports Talk. Pistol joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. Go check out his work at TopSports.news and go follow him on Twitter as well at Peterson_Rick. Let's bump things up to Class 6A, Pistol. Last week, Friday night, Washburn Rural, they were able to take down Topeka High. We'll touch on both of these 6A Centennial League programs. First, for Washburn Rural, they pick up that win in city over High. Their final 2 games of the year, they've got Emporia, who is winless. Now it'll be at Emporia, but Washburn Rural 6-0 versus 0-6 tomorrow. Then they get Topeka West. That'll be at Hummer Sports Park next Thursday. I think it's I don't want to say a safe bet. Nothing is a completely safe bet, Pistol, but I think Washburn Rural going 8-0 and running the rack here in the regular season is probably in all likelihood what's going to happen at this point.
Well, I think at this point it's expected anyway. If either Emporia or West jump up and knock off the Junior Blues, it would be ranked as one of the biggest upsets in recent memory. So, yeah, I think you're right. And I think the thing about Rural and Steve Bueller and Zlotnick and those guys, hey, they're going to have that team ready to play. They're going to take care of business. They're going to try to stay sharp while also getting a bunch of kids some playing time, which is also important. So I think they're in great shape.
And they will, of course, be scoreboard watching coming up this week as well. They are right now, according to the Acacia website anyway, the number 2 seed in the 6A West. Lawrence Free State having a really good year. They got a big matchup against Lawrence High, though. So I imagine Washburn Rural is probably going to have at least, the corner of their eye focusing on the scoreboard coming up on Friday night.
Well, the thing is, they're tied, and it just goes down to the point differential, and they're a little behind in the point differential. So, yeah, if Free State would have we talked about what Rural has coming up. If Free State would have a couple of close games, that might give Rural the opportunity to pass them for that number 1 spot.
As for Topeka High, which came out on the wrong side against Washburn Rural this past week, as we mentioned, I mean, we have said most of what there is to say about where this Topeka High team is right now, and the fact that they are showing, maybe it's just incremental, but they're showing little things, trying to get in a rhythm going forward throughout the rest of the season. They'll play their final home game of the year coming up tomorrow when they take on Junction City. And if you're Topeka High, you probably don't want to have to face a mad Junction City team that is coming off a couple of tough losses in a row, including a rivalry loss last week. Never a great time to play Randall Zimmerman's group, but if you're Topeka High, this is probably especially not a great time for that.
Yeah, it's not. But, I tell you what, and I've known Carlos Kelly more than 35 years since I covered him in high school at Highland Park. And I talked to him after the game. And I told him I liked the way they played last week. I liked the way they fought till the very end. I liked the way that there's some young kids that I think are going to be very good athletes. So I think they could hold themselves high last week, even though it was whatever that was, 33 points. I think they are showing stride. Now, you're exactly right. It's going to be tough tomorrow night because Junction City needs that win to improve everybody's looking at the playoff seedings right now. So you're either wanting to avoid somebody if you're down lower or bottom, or you want to get in and host a game. So I think Junction City will come out raring to go.
Let's get to the parochial schools before we let you go here at Pistol. We'll start with Hayden. They just continue to roll over their opponents. They blew out Royal Valley this past week, 49-0. That's 3 straight shutout wins for Hayden. I mean, we know how good this team is, Pistol. We knew they were going to be good coming into the year, and they've lived up to, if not surpassed, those expectations. They get Holton coming up tomorrow night. That game will be at home at Hayden High School. I know last year at this game, when they played twice, had a ton of fanfare. This year, maybe not quite as much because it's not the same caliber of Holton team. But I think it's also fair and appropriate to say, you don't count out a Brooks Barta coach team. Even though Hayden is the better team this year, I still think there's the chance for some real fireworks coming up tomorrow.
Oh, I think so. And the other thing is, I don't care. I assure you that Bill Arnold and his team aren't looking at maybe Holton being down a little bit. They're looking at the last 2 games that they lost last year that prevented them from having a chance to play for the state title. That's what they're looking at. They want to take care of business and show at least this year, that they're the better team.
As for the other private school in town, Care Paravel, what a story, what a season they are having, Pistol. After that big win a couple of weeks ago to pick up another one this past week, they're now 2-1 in their district. They took down Madison 34-12 this past Friday. They get Chase County out of Cottonwood Falls coming up tomorrow. They'll end the year against Maranatha Christian out of Shawnee coming up. That's a good team, Chase County. They are 2-1 in their district as well. But, man, last 2 weeks, 2 big tests for Care Paravel, and they've come through with flying colors.
Yeah, I kind of marked that game Friday night at the toss-up. I mean, I think both those teams, they need it to strengthen their, district standing, but they definitely, it's just 2 good teams. Chase County lost last week, but they lost by like 4 points to undefeated Linden. So we know they're good. You just mentioned how good Care Paravel's been. Now, I do want to mention that game tomorrow night is at Seaman. So don't go to the wrong place, because they're playing at Seaman just to have a better field and that sort of thing. So that's where that Chase County Care Paravel game will be at.
No, that is very good to know. So if you are looking for a little city 8-man action, Seaman High School for Care Paravel, versus Chase County coming up tomorrow. All right, Pistol, where are you headed to this weekend?
I think I'm with you tomorrow night. I just want to see. I jump at the chance that when I can see 2 city teams play, and I haven't seen Heights since the Seaman game. So that's where I'll be, and then got more league cross country on Saturday, and then state tennis at several sites, and City is very, very good in girls tennis.
Yes, there certainly is. A lot of individuals, a lot of teams as well are going to have their eyes set on some gold. We'll talk all about it, recap it all coming up next week on our Lewis Toyota High School Whiparound with Rick Peterson from TopSports.news. Find him on Twitter at Peterson_Rick. Go check out the website, TopSports.news. All of the best coverage of all of our local teams can be found there. Again, that is TopSports.news. Pistol, we appreciate the time, and we will see you tomorrow night at Shawnee Heights.
Okay, look forward to it.
That is Rick Peterson from TopSports.news. Nobody covers our local teams better than Pistol here on the High School Whiparound on 580 Sports Talk. Pistol again joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline today. And coming up tomorrow, it will be our first of the year 580 Preps Lewis Toyota High School Football Game of the Week here on 580 WIBW. We've been on Country 106.9 on Friday nights throughout the season. We'll be right here on the Big Stick tomorrow night, 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock kickoff as Shawnee Heights hosts Topeka West. Right now, we'll get to a break for our national and local news. Come on back for the 4 o'clock hour. We'll lead things off some Thursday Night Football same-game parlays on 580 Sports Talk.
580 Sports Talk, hour number 3 on this game day edition. Chiefs and the Broncos squaring off tonight at Arrowhead. It's a little windy out there right now. It's going to be a little windy, not maybe as warm as it's been in the past for some football games. It is October the 12th, so football weather starting to go away, which is a bummer. But we've got the pregame starting at 6 o'clock, 7:15-ish with the kickoff. If you want to listen to that game, you can listen to Mitch Holthus, Dane and Hughes, and the gang coming up at 6 o'clock tonight. Right here on 580, also 104.9 on the FM dial. If there are still dials. Do you have dials in your car or do you have buttons?
I got buttons.
See, I got the dials.
I have a button and a dial.
Yeah,
I got two
but
dials.
I think the dial is only for volume.
I can do the tune on the on the
yeah,
dial.
I can dial. I dial with the thing, but there's also a button. I think there's a physical button and a screen button as well as a dial, and I can use any of them.
So, but yeah, the temperature is going to be more basketball-ish, if you will, coming up this evening. Tonight at around kickoff, it will be about 74, but it could dip into the 60s by the end of the game. So we're getting into more basketball-ish weather here at the middle of October, which it should be because we're in the middle of October.
Did you know there's a big push by a certain sect of consumers to like totally overhaul the interior of cars to bring back buttons? There are a lot of people who are really mad that there are no buttons to hit in new cars.
All right.
Like it's all on screen. People don't like that.
Here's the one thing that I will say. If we're going to bring back something, there was nothing better when you were on the phone with somebody and you were upset and you could just slam your phone together and end the call. You know what I'm talking about?
With a flip phone?
Yeah, man. Or you're like, no, this is over. Smash. That felt so good. Now you can't do that. Now you got to push the button. Yeah.
You could push it with a little firmness.
Yeah, but then
a little vigor behind that.
That's not the same, and you know it. And you know, because we all did. Wait, did you guys have flip phones?
Yes.
You had a flip phone.
You had a flip phone?
Of course I did.
I don't know that.
Jake, I'm not that much younger than you, man.
I forget that sometimes.
I had, aren't you only like 2 years apart?
Yeah.
I'm
37.
When did you turn 30? Did you just turn 30?
Just turned 37, yeah.
So we're almost 3 years apart then. 2.5.
2.5.
Yeah.
No, not even. Your birthday's in July?
When's your birthday?
September. Yeah.
That's like 2.5.
My first I'm old enough to where my first phone was one of the brick phones.
Really?
Brick phone?
Yeah. One of those
man.
It didn't fold or do anything. It was just the size of a phone.
I had a flip phone and then I had two, not like the sidekicks, like the brand name slider phones.
So cool.
But I had two slide phones.
I miss the slide phones, brother. I had an LG Triton. It was the
Nice.
coolest
I had a
phone.
buddy who had one of those.
I loved that phone. Slide out the keyboard to text. Yeah, that was because that was like, I don't want to type straight up. That's dumb. I like a keyboard, a full keyboard.
Yeah.
Where I can use my thumbs.
Yeah. I had I think 3 and then I got an iPhone.
Man,
I think I'm on my 4th one now.
I'd kill to get back to that Triton. I think I still have it. I don't think I ever like recycled any of my old phones. I'm pretty sure I still got it.
Some places will still sell dumb phones. You can still go out and buy one.
Dumb. I could check scores.
Well, just because it's not, like
Yeah.
your entire life in 128 gigabytes or whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
Like a dumb TV. You can get a TV, like a non-internet capable TV for like $140.
When I bought my big screen, I purposely did that because I already had a Roku. It was like, why am I buying a smart TV that has this technology that I already have? So I purposely bought a dumb 4K TV.
What'd you pay and what size?
60-inch, I think. And I paid like $300.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
You can get a 55-inch TV right now for less than $300.
Oh, easily.
Yeah, that's wild.
When we bought our TV,
It's wild.
our new big one, we got it's a smart TV, but we were deciding between that or one that was like 5 inches smaller without the features
bells and whistles
for like $200
Yeah.
less. I thought,
TVs
damn,
are like nothing. I remember when it used
it's
to
crazy.
It used to be like you had to spend like $1,000 on a TV. Now you can get, there's so many great deals on TVs. Now it's just like, what brand are you? Oh, I'm a Samsung. Oh no, I'm an LG. No way, Team Sony over here.
Do people do that with TVs?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe.
I've never been real brand loyal when it comes to TVs.
No, we have 3
Ride
TVs.
or die with Vizio, baby.
Yeah, we have 3 TVs in our house, and they are all different brands.
The first HD set I bought was Vizio.
Yeah,
It
Team
was
Vizio.
a great set.
Yeah, I like ours.
I ended up selling it to my brother when I won that 50-incher at that radio event I was talking about yesterday.
He sold that. Yeah, good for you. Good for you.
It's a good, perfectly fine TV. My brother needed one.
All right, tonight's game. Put together your Chiefs parlay bet. I'm going to tell you this right now. I think Isaiah Pacheco scoring a touchdown. In fact, I think so much so, I think Pacheco's going to score 2 touchdowns more so than 1.
Oh.
But I'm not willing to risk it on my parlay bet. I'm not doing it. So I got Pacheco anytime touchdown. Also, because I think the Chiefs are just going to win, I got the Chiefs money line. Just simple Chiefs money line. Throwing, I know it's minus, 660, I think?
620 currently at FanDuel.
Boy, this morning was 590.
Yeah. So just throwing the money line just because, the Chiefs are going to win. If you want to hedge your bet a little bit, or, be a little bit more aggressive, do an alternate spread like Chiefs minus, 4.5 or 5.5, to be honest with you. But I just went Chiefs win the game. Just win the game. Simple and easy. So Isaiah Pacheco, anytime touchdown, Kansas City Chiefs money line. Now this is where we get into some other fun things. I got alternate Chiefs line because I think if they get up early, they're going to rest people. And I think there's a chance they could get up early. So I go alternate line, Pacheco, 50 yards or more. So I think Pacheco will get, couple carries here. So I got Pacheco plus 50 or over 50 yards. So not his over under, it's an alternate line. Justin Watson has been Mr. Go Over this year to the tune of every game he has hit the over except one, and that was the Jets. Otherwise, he has hit the over on every single game. 45 yards against Detroit, 62 against Jacksonville, 51 against the Bears, 5 against the Jets, and then 56 against Minnesota. So I got the over on my guy, Jay Watts. All right.
Where did you find that?
Find what?
Justin Watson over yards.
On the app. The one where it says Justin Watson over 24.5 yards. Book it. I can show you. I've already placed this wager. I've already got this wager.
You can say which one. Currently, none of them are paying us, so you can say which one.
Yeah, are you on FanDuel?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They don't have that listed currently.
Well, it's Justin Watson over 24.5 yards.
I like that one.
Book it, Dano. And then you ready for this?
Never heard that one before.
Ever
in my life.
Never ever. So my final leg, which is a 5-legger, which really is more of like a 4.5 because Chiefs money line, kind of a softy. Do you guys also realize how good of a runner Patrick Mahomes is?
Yeah, he's pretty great. I've watched every single one of his football games, start to finish. I think he's pretty good.
Here's my only concern about Patrick Mahomes and him running today. His over's 20.5 yards. Okay. Patrick Mahomes running the football this year. Over 20 yards in every game. But the last one against Minnesota. I'm afraid that I like Mahomes to run because he's good for a couple scrambles, right?
Mm-hmm.
The problem is I don't know if this was a good bet because now I'm starting to think the Broncos are so bad and they can't cover anybody. And somebody's going to be open, so he's just going to throw it every time. Because most of the time, people were covered. Like against the Jets, they had a good secondary. They were covered. He ran for 51 yards. 45 against Detroit, 30 against Jacksonville, 28 against Chicago. Didn't, though, against the Vikings. Now, that was maybe because he got, the frog, as he mentioned yesterday. But normally he's good for the over. So I risked it. So that 5-legger plus 710. Like it.
For mine,
Like it.
actually, by the way, I've got some news from the gossip world for you guys. So you may not have heard of your wives may have heard of Dumois. Ever heard of that before?
Huh?
Dim sum?
Nope. Dumois. Deuxmoi. Dumois. It might be a website too. It's an Instagram account. It shares a bunch of drama and rumors and stuff.
The first I've ever
Never heard
of
of
this.
that.
I had never heard of it until I met my wife, and now
Okay.
I hear about Dumois all the
Hold
time.
on. I'm going to text my wife real quick.
Yeah.
You go ahead.
Deuxmoi. Ask if they heard of Dumois.
DUMX.
No. DEUX space MOI. The gossip blog. Ask your wives, girlfriends, any women in your life if you have heard of this. Anywho, they had a submission. They take like submissions from people who follow them and post them on their Instagram story or whatever and report gossip. And we've got one that says, "Keep my name anonymous, please. Word on the street is that Taylor bought a box at Arrowhead for the rest of the season. Things are getting serious." Fire emoji.
Wow.
Now, here is why
You got that kind of money?
Yeah. See, here is how you know that some of the people who are following this saga don't know anything about football or football tickets. You can't just in the middle of the NFL season say, "Yes, one suite, please." That's not really how that works.
It does if you're Taylor Swift.
Also, she's been in Travis Kelce's box. He already has one. Why would she then get her own?
Yeah.
Good point.
She already has a seat.
By the way, Brandon, you can get Justin Watson now 22.5.
For real?
I am looking at it right here. Why would
No,
I lie to you?
I trust
I feel
you.
like you're attacking me right
I
now.
am not attacking you. I am looking at the website right in front of me.
Well, I'm on the app. Justin Watson over under 22.5. Ah!
Are you in
2 yards?
the receiving props category?
Player receiving yards.
Player receiving yards.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. I can't find it. Oh,
Like
maybe
it.
I did. Maybe.
I like it.
All right. I have finally found it. I have discovered. Yeah, 22.5. All right. My picks for the game tonight. I'm going to go Travis Kelce anytime touchdown. Played in 4 games, has 3 touchdowns this year.
Yep.
He was hurt and scored one last week. Girlfriend's in the box. You got to show out.
Show out for your girl.
Travis Kelce anytime touchdown. A lot of people don't like my next one. I've been told, "Brendan, you're a fool. Brendan, you're an idiot. You are such a moron. You stupid, ugly idiot." That's what I've been told.
Ugly is strong.
Yeah. I'm taking the under in this game. 47.5 points.
Okay. No, the weather. It's basketball weather.
It's the wonder. It is
starting-
the weeknight under.
Oh,
Yeah.
real quick. Got an answer.
Yeah.
From the wife. Said, "You heard of Dumois, an Instagram page?" And I quote, "Oh, absolutely. All got the celeb gossip.
Told you.
All the
Told ya.
celeb gossip." Yeah, so there you go.
There you go.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
My wife's plugged in.
My wife's still working. She has not. It's fine.
But I'm taking under 47.5. I do not think it's going to be an especially high scoring game.
Okay.
And I'm going with the first half and end of regulation double play.
Ooh.
Chiefs at
What is that?
halftime and Chiefs at the end of regulation.
What's that?
Minus 240.
Okay.
It's not great value, but that's a nice
See,
little
like
leg.
last week, that wouldn't have worked.
It would not have.
It was tied.
It would not have.
Chiefs. I bet that was like plus a lot.
So I'm those are I'm just doing 3. Plus
Soft.
380.
Okay. I've got 4 at plus 1593.
Whoa!
1,500?
Marquez Valdez Scantling first touchdown score.
No.
Yeah.
no,
What do
no,
we
no.
got, Dan? Give us the D.
So I'm taking an alternate spread. I'm getting through all the most of the key numbers. I'm taking the Chiefs minus 5.5.
Okay.
I think they'll win by at least a touchdown. I've got Isaiah Pacheco over 50 rushing yards because I think he stands to have a big game against the worst rushing defense in the league. Sky Moore's total receiving yards under 23.5.
Risky. It's one scramble drill. That's why that's scary.
He just be getting cardio in.
Okay.
That is
Isn't that working?
the
Getting
Sky
steps
Moore.
in?
I think he's going to start to lose some snaps starting this week.
Oof.
And I think that we don't see him eclipse 23.5. And then I've got a Bronco play. Jaleel McLaughlin, anytime touchdown scorer, is plus 330. Javonte Williams is just coming back from injury. McLaughlin scored last week. They like to throw it to him. I know Williams is probably their goal line option, but I could just see McLaughlin being a guy that, like last week, takes a screen in for a touchdown on the opening drive for the Broncos.
Dan, you need to make that a solo bet too. If you're feeling that, make that solo plus 310.
I might
put $100 down. Boom. There you go. $340. Easy.
No, be $33.
No, I said you put $100 down.
Oh, I'm not putting $100.
That's what I'm saying. You got $100 down.
On which parlay is it?
The
Just the
McLaughlin.
McLaughlin
I like
touchdown.
that though. I do. I like that.
Put it down.
Might have to
Hammer that.
Might
Stand
have
on
to.
business.
Might have to. No, I hammer in the Pacheco touchdown. I'm with you on the Pacheco. So we each got something kind of interesting, except for Brendan.
Wow. All right.
Yeah. No, I can see it being the under. Like I really do. Like you don't have a wild one.
No,
Not
nothing
real
wild.
wild. Not real
I'm
wild.
not a parlay guy.
Yeah.
I'm not.
I'm not typically either, but
I like to play it safe.
FanDuel's giving them out for essentially free tonight. No sweat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do
rock
it.
with them.
I mean, I'll do that. You're going to give it to me. Fine. I'll take it.
Coming up next, we'll get to what is wrong with you. Mitch Holthus joins us in the 5 o'clock hour here on 580 Sports Talk.
It's time for What Is Wrong With You on 580 Sports Talk on this Game Day Thursday edition of the show. I'm Brendan. He's Dan. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Two of us flying solo with you, flying duo with you, I suppose, throughout the rest of the show today. We will be joined by Mitch Holthus coming up in the 5 o'clock hour of the show. But first, we've got a couple more idiots to get to in What Is Wrong With You today, which, of course, is brought to you by Top City Metal Supply. They cut the metal you need to your specifications. That, folks, saves you time, money, and material. So never settle when it comes to your metal with Top City Metal Supply, who you can find on South Topeka Boulevard, halfway between Frito-Lay and Forbes Field. Our current weekly winner, the woman and gas station cashier who threw a roller sausage at each other, and tongs, and a Coke can, and I believe there was something else that was thrown too. The gentleman threw something?
No.
Oh, it was just that.
No, just tried to throw the woman out of the Quick King gas station, but she wouldn't leave and stood and loitered and taunted store employees for 8 minutes before cops arrived.
There were also racial slurs that were involved. Whole lot going on. Very, very, very good story. All right, our two new ones today. Dan, why don't you go first with yours?
All right, we are not going to Ocala, Florida for the first time in 3 days. I have a very different location today. We're going to Milwaukee, where we meet a man who loves to steal cars. And we have a lot of people out there who like to steal cars, but this guy likes to steal police cars.
Whoa!
Back in December 2022.
Hard mode.
Yes. Well, yes and no, because it's one thing to steal a vehicle. It's quite another to just steal one that has the keys in it is already running. So that's what we have here.
Okay.
In December 2022, Milwaukee police officers were making a traffic stop near Holton and Keefe when you heard a door slam on the police dash cam video. You then see the squad car drive right by an officer. Seconds later, you can hear laughter from inside the cruiser and a call for backup over the radio. Looks like somebody just stole my vehicle, you hear an officer say. The dispatcher replies, okay, did you say your vehicle? To which the officer says, affirmative, vehicle 106. In the squad car, the driver ran a stop sign, passed a car in the street, drove fast over a speed bump. After about 1 minute, the man got out of the police car, ran off, and was detained in an alley hiding in a trash can. Prosecutors later identified him as Daniel Barton.
Not Oscar the Grouch.
Why are we talking about this crime that occurred in December 2022? Because he did it again.
Hell yeah.
He did it in May of 2023. He is accused, Daniel Barton is, of stealing a cruiser during a traffic stop near Capitol and Estabrook Parkway before being arrested about 10 minutes later. In both cases, the Milwaukee County Court found Barton competent to stand trial. He's facing misdemeanor charges in both cases. Just happened to be around while a police stop was a traffic stop was occurring, and said, I'm going to take the police car, go for a little 10-minute joyride, and I'm going to hide in this trash can. The perfect crime.
All right, so there's video of this, and the reveal in the trash can from the body cam footage is so funny.
Yeah, it is really hilarious. He just stands up, gets out, pops out like Oscar the Grouch.
Yeah, it's one of those rubber trash cans, and he just hops out. Yeah, you got me. That's so funny. That's really dumb, but that's really funny.
It's one thing to do it once,
yeah.
Right? Like, oh, I'm gonna do it, just to say that I did it because this is something that apparently I really want to do, is steal a police car. It's one thing to do it once. It's quite another to be like, you know what, this didn't go great for me the first time around, but if at first you don't succeed, dust yourself off and try again.
The fact that he also just dumped the car, like he was in it for a minute the first time and then left it and ran away. Like, come on, man. You're going to do all this for only that? Come on.
And he hid in a trash can.
Wow. That's unbelievable. We've got a theft in my story today too on What Is Wrong With You. But this is one where our good pal Jake LeBon would say, you got to go for the big score. And our gentleman involved here absolutely did not. We're headed to Florida, Sanford, Florida in particular, where police are looking to identify a man accused of stealing 3 bottles of vodka from a restaurant after breaking in and shutting off the power. The incident reportedly happened back on October 2nd at Mel's Diner on Orlando Drive in Sanford. Authorities shared 3 photos of a man and a woman who were observed on the restaurant's surveillance camera on social media in hopes that someone would recognize the pair and that they would come forward. Unlike some stories we've had recently where the security camera footage is in like 1080p or 4K, you can see every pore on the guy's face. This is not like that.
No, Mel's Diner needs to step their security camera game up.
Yeah, it's not good. It's kind of hard to see or make out any of these people. Officers say the man pictured in the photo somehow forced his way into the business through the front door, walked to the back room where the breakers are, and he shut off the power before making off with the alcohol. This was 3 bottles of vodka valued at $100. That was all that was taken after inventory was completed.
Maybe he couldn't reach the top shelf.
Ha! Anyone who recognizes either person or his information is asked to contact the Sanford Police Department. You broke in, you shut off the power, you had this whole big con planned, and you took 3 bottles of alcohol?
Yeah, probably like Absolute or something. Maybe Tito's. Like a name brand. He didn't take like old granddads or anything like that. It wasn't Svedka, but I'm looking at TotalWine.com and looking at
good.
Yeah, I'm at TotalWine.com and I'm looking at the prices. You get a 1.75 liter of like Grey Goose. We're running $43. Like that's the expensive stuff.
Okay.
That's the good stuff. I don't even want to treat yourself. Handle a Tito's same size is $30. Handle a Kettle One is $35.
All right. So yeah, we're looking at something like that.
Yeah. Not like 3 olives or not Kamchatka. I can guarantee you that's not what he rolled out of there with.
How much does Sky cost?
Good old Chach. Sky vodka. Get a handle for 23.
23. Okay. More expensive than this. Yeah, we're looking at a Tito's.
Yeah.
Roughly. Or what was the other one you mentioned that was 35?
Kettle One.
Kettle One. Yeah, that's what we're looking at. Dude, I mean, at least take something better. Take more. I mean, I'm not advocating theft, but come on, I feel like he could have done more than this.
Got what he came for.
Apparently
Clearly.
so.
He had a mission. He had like a lot of cranberry juice and nothing to mix it with. And he said, well, I know an easy way I'm just going to break in and I'm going to shut off the power so the security cameras don't work. Man, he thought he was getting his Ocean's 11 on.
Thought he was slick.
He really did. All for 3 bottles of Kettle One.
All right. This is a funny story. It's not funnier than the guy stealing the cop cars. That one wins today, I think, easily.
Yeah, he did it twice.
The video, I wish we can more easily show you guys, if you watch on the YouTube stream, we can much more easily show you still photos than we can show you video.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I could show you the video because it's so funny. He parks the cop car, gets out, and runs away holding his pants up.
Yeah.
Like, buddy, get a belt. Come on. He runs away holding his pants up. Then it cuts to the body cam video from the police officer who is truly just walking through this alley. I can't hear, obviously we're on the air. I can't hear the audio from this, but the guy who stole the car just pushes the lid up on the can like, surprise, here I am. Like he's jumping out of a cake, springs out of the garbage can. I guess you got me. Oh man, that is too funny. Yeah, that one wins today for sure.
I think so too.
Does that beat the sausage fest?
Not if you're going to call it that. It's a funny story.
Man, I don't know. This is tough. Like, why did you do the same thing twice?
We have a texter from the 785 who asks a good question. How are those just misdemeanors?
I had the same thought, text line. I had the same thought.
2 misdemeanors. Because I mean, I guess like he did violate some traffic rules in the meantime, but it's not as though he just ditched the car and surrendered peacefully. If
finders keepers is in play with the keys in the car, does that drop it from a felony to a misdemeanor?
Yeah, I wonder if like police officers are like, it's a wonder that doesn't happen more often. Frankly, we make a stop in a crowded area. Somebody just walks up and says, "I'm going to take this. It's running."
Yeah, for real.
Let's just do it and be legends.
Maybe it's the fact that he just left it, like didn't hit anything.
Yeah,
I don't know. I thought felony too for still like. If it was a regular, like you take an Elantra and drive it for 3 blocks and dump it, like, okay, whatever. Sorry if you drive an Elantra. But like a cop car, I think there would be a bigger penalty, but I guess not.
Yeah.
At least not in Wisconsin.
No, the fact that like 5 months later, he went back for more.
Yeah.
He was like, no, this was a lifelong dream and it was exhilarating. It was everything I wanted, even though it ended with me in a trash can in an alley. I got to do it again.
So funny. Does that get your vote?
I think so. I think that's going to be our new weekly winner.
I can't get over the video. I'm just going to recommend that you go Google man takes off in Milwaukee police car, and you get the video from WISN TV in Milwaukee. It is very funny.
Really good.
I'm with you. Let's go with that. Our new winner for the week, the double cop car theft, is our winner in What Is Wrong With You. Sponsored by Top City Metal Supply. Metal cut to order when you need it. That's Top City Metal Supply on South Topeka Boulevard. Coming up next, Bill Barnwell of ESPN. He came up with a few trade ideas ahead of the NFL trade deadline in a couple of weeks, and he's got a couple for the Chiefs. We'll see if they make any sense next on 580 Sports Talk. Brendan and Dan here with you on 580 Sports Talk. Go check us out on YouTube. Find us on the world's biggest video platform. 580 Sports Talk is the name of our channel because it's the name of our show. It's nice and simple. YouTube.com, search 580 Sports Talk. Make sure you subscribe, check out the live stream, hop into the comment section, hang out with us that way. Or, if you'd prefer to listen along on the radio or online at 580wibw.com, you can do that too. We're not going to judge. If you want to still get your thoughts heard and you're not on the YouTube, text us. 785-272-9429 is the text line number. Had a comment from Vance, a name for our winner today, the GTA Goober. You ever played Grand Theft Auto? You big GTA guy?
No, I never was. No.
I never played it. I have, which one do I have? Vice City, which was many, many years ago now.
That was the big one.
Yeah, oh my God. Loved that game. And I never played it like, do the missions and like play the full story mode. No, I just like to put in the cheat where you get every single weapon and then you just see like how intensely the police come after you. And like if you get the SWAT team called on you and stuff. I just found that to be fun. It was very relaxing for a while. Like, you know what? I had a bad day. I'm going to go steal a tank and just destroy Miami. Like I took a lot of pleasure in doing that at one point in time.
We had another suggested name for it from the 785 on the text line, calling it the double cruiser boost.
That's funny. That's well done. That's a good story, man. That's a really good story. Coming up in a little bit, we're going to get to some 580 Sports Talk headlines to lead off the 5 o'clock hour, including we got some college basketball news today and not sanction related. We're beyond that. We have moved on. We are past it.
We have evolved past infractions, hearings, and penalties.
Thankfully. We've got the all Big 12 preseason teams came out today. We'll get to that. Plus, there are now odds on college basketball games that are available at least one sportsbook. DraftKings Sportsbook currently has odds for opening night, K-State versus USC. You can now bet on that game. Kind of early for that because the game doesn't happen until November 6th. You don't usually get look-aheads for college basketball.
No.
K-State in Vegas against USC, which may or may not have Bronny James. K-State 4.5-point underdog. Interesting. By the way, the only other game that we know of you can bet on right now from that same event, Oregon is an 8.5-point favorite over Georgia. That says more about Oregon and not in a good way if they're only favored by 8.5 over Georgia.
No, that's a fact.
Yikes. And again, we'll get to some more college basketball, coming up in headlines today, along with plenty of other stuff to go on in headlines today. Now, what I wanted to get to in this segment, in fact, Dan showed this to me earlier today. Bill Barnwell over at ESPN, he has a list of potential trades at the deadline for a handful of teams in the NFL. And one of them is the Kansas City Chiefs. In fact, a couple of them involve the Kansas City Chiefs. Should we do offense or defense first?
Let's do the defensive one first.
All right, we'll do the defense.
Because we were talking earlier today, it's readily apparent that Frank Clark isn't going to be a Denver Bronco probably past like middle of next week.
Tomorrow, maybe.
Somebody made a joke on Twitter, and I wish I had favorited it so I could properly cite the genius who made the comparison and made the joke that the Broncos are going to see Frank Clark standing over on the Chiefs sideline at some point tonight, like when Brick Tamlin stood with the other news team in Anchorman.
Yeah, I saw that. Brick, get over here.
Brick.
I don't think that's going to end up happening, getting Frank Clark back.
I don't either. I think that, nostalgia is fun, but there shouldn't be an element of that to trying to build a team to win in 2023. And I think there are better options. I think you can do better if you're going to add a veteran pass rusher. I think you can bring in somebody who's going to give you more than Frank Clark will, even in January.
What about Carl Lawson of the New York Jets? How much would that intrigue you? The proposed trade by Bill Barnwell, Carl Lawson from the Jets to the Chiefs in exchange for Lucas Niang and a 6th-round pick. If you ask who says no, I think the Jets might say no.
Well, the thing about Lawson is he's not playing for the Jets. Like, he's had other guys on that roster pass him on the depth chart. He's only gotten into 3 games this year. Apparently, he dealt with a back injury in the preseason, and backs can be finicky. But just last year, Carl Lawson had 7 sacks. And there are not a lot of guys you can go out and had who had that kind of production just last year. And it's not like he all of a sudden got old. He's only 28. He's in the 6th year of his career.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like there's probably some juice left. And it's interesting that the Jets have seen guys just kind of pass him up on the depth chart.
Yeah.
I don't know that you'd have to throw in a player to get a trade like this done. If you've got a guy who's being scratched and isn't getting snaps. He's only played 52 snaps in 3 weeks, in 3 games. That out of the 5 that he has been that the Jets have played. That almost seems to me like the Jets would be willing to move off of him for, late round, a day 3 draft pick, a 5th or a 6th. But the proposal, like you said, is Lucas Niang and a 6th for Lawson. And I think if I'm the Chiefs, I guess it depends on how they really feel about Lucas Niang. I mean, they've kept him around. they've had opportunities to move on from Niang, and they haven't done it, which suggests to me that they still think that if needed, he could play a role for them. So, if Lawson were realistically available, I think that's not a bad idea for the Chiefs to get a guy who, he's not been on the sideline, not doing anything. He went through a training camp. He's been through, week by week preparations. Like, he's in game mode, and he was more productive more recently than Frank Clark was.
So, Lucas Niang, all right, let me phrase it this way. He started 9 games for the Chiefs in 2021. 9 games. He played in 12 total. He started 9. He played 525 snaps that year. 62% of the offensive snaps available to him when he played. How many offensive snaps do you think Lucas Niang has played this season and last season combined? Not including special teams.
I bet I wouldn't need more than my own 2 hands to count them.
You're correct. You would max out your 2 hands, but that would be it. Lucas Niang this season has played a grand total of 1 snap. He's been active for 2 games. Played in 2 games. In 2022, he was in 7 games, and he played a grand whopping total of 9 offensive snaps. He's also played a handful of special team snaps in his career. If the Jets were willing to take him, I think you would. If you thought you were getting a piece that would actually help you in a more, realistic and non-worst case scenario situation. Because if Niang has to play, you're in worst case scenario, right? Because that means multiple tackles have gotten hurt.
Yeah. I think Wanya Morris is ahead of him on the weekly depth chart, isn't he?
I'd be shocked if he wasn't. In fact, I don't even know what the official depth chart looks like for the Chiefs right now. No, I don't want their roster. I want their depth chart. Come on, Google. Google stinks.
Yeah, Google has become more and more unusable over time.
It's just ads. Everything is ads.
Yeah, Morris is first choice at left tackle. Niang is first choice at right tackle.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, you're looking at least one of those guys in front of them getting hurt. And I guess they could put someone on the depth chart twice. Nick Allegretti is on there twice at right guard and center. Look at Nick Allegretti. He carved out a great career, like a backup quarterback. Like the best of the not playable offensive linemen. That's a nice career to have if you're Nick Allegretti. Yeah, I mean, if I'm the Chiefs, I would do this. I would be comfortable moving on in this case because I'm sure Wanya Morris could be kicked over to right tackle in a pinch. You've moved Joe Tooney to tackle at times before. If you need to switch Donovan Smith, there are a lot of different combinations. I mean, if it's dire, maybe you feel like you need to keep him for depth, but I would do this if I was the Chiefs. I would do it. But if you feel like you needed pass rush help, I would make this deal.
Yes.
I would not just do it to do it, though.
Right. No, and Barnwell even writes he expects the Chiefs to add a pass rusher at some point between now and the postseason. I don't think that's entirely far-fetched. I really don't. Because it eases the burden on a rookie like Felix Anudike-Uzomah.
Yeah.
But I think I would rather do a trade for Lawson than reunite with Frank Clark.
Yeah, I would think so too. I think I would agree with that. The other one here that Barnwell proposes for the Chiefs send a 6th round pick in 2025. So not even this upcoming draft, the one after it, to the Arizona Cardinals to get tight end Zach Ertz. I think, like, theoretically, you can see why this would be intriguing. Ertz at this point is not a game breaker. He can still play. He's still a decent player, but he's not, like, so athletic he's going to change a game. I mean, he is solidly a number 2 tight end on a good team at this point.
Why is this cat? Zach Ertz has had a terrific career.
Yes.
46 career touchdowns, over 7,000 receiving yards, over 704 receptions. He has 1,000-yard season, an 1,100-yard season in his career.
Yeah.
Like, not a Hall of Famer, but like solidly Hall of Very Good, I think.
Yes.
Zach Ertz.
Very, very good.
Yeah, he's had a really nice career, and he's married to one of the greatest American women's soccer players of all time.
Yes, he is.
So, yeah, not a bad life, Zach Ertz. He's averaging 6.5 yards per catch.
We've hit Witten mode.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is sub Witten mode. He was at 8.5 last year. It's 6.5 this year. I just what is Zach Ertz going to give you? Like, the idea here is maybe you got a little cover if Travis Kelce can't go.
In Jason Witten's final season, he averaged 5.3 yards per reception.
Oh, man.
Jason Witten played for 17 years and had 7 years with a yards per catch under 10.
The quick out merchant.
The king of the button hook. So many Pro Bowls. Multiple first team All-Pro picks. That Jason Witten. I like Zach Ertz, but what would he offer you that you can't already get out of Noah Gray at this stage of his career? Like, you're not trading for 2018 Zach Ertz. You're trading for 2023 Zach Ertz, who's had a lot of injuries, who is slower now, who's got good hands but can only run like 3 routes.
Barnwell writes, Ertz doesn't do much more these days than catch passes and fall down.
That should probably tell you all you need to know about this one.
But the former Eagles standout has still drawn a pair of 10-target games this season. Saying that Ertz's insurance against Travis Kelce getting injured would be foolish, but Ertz would at least give the Chiefs some semblance of a veteran tight end with a feel for finding soft spots in coverage in the case Kelce misses time. It's one thing to say find soft spots in coverage. What Travis Kelce does, it's not the same.
No.
To say that Zach Ertz and Travis Kelce both have feel for finding soft spots in coverage, it would be like saying me and Jim Rome both host sports talk radio shows. Like, one of them does it on a little bit of a different level than the other.
Technically true.
Yes.
Technically true. I like Bill Barnwell's writing because sometimes you can tell that he was told to write something, and he even will sort of tell you, if you read it in between the lines, like, look, I know this isn't going to happen, but I was told to put 8 sections in this piece, and this is number 8. So I respect him for that. Did anything else? Well, I think it goes without saying I'm out on that trade. I'm good on that one.
Not necessary.
Anything else stand out to you? There's one involving the Packers and the Broncos, in fact, so very pertinent for today's show. I don't get it at all. Like, I just don't understand. It's the Packers get Jerry Jeudy and a 4th round pick. The Broncos get Romeo Doubs and a 2nd round pick.
I almost would rather have Dobbs than Jeudy.
I would too. At least Romeo Doubs doesn't have a bad case of Twitter fingers. Like, his expectations are much more in line with what he's actually produced than Jeudy. I don't know, man. I don't get that one. That one stood out to me. I mean, it's my favorite team. That's why. But that one was odd. Any of these others stand out to you?
My favorite team's in here, too. Bill Barnwell suggests they get Frank Clark. Would be a reunion in Seattle.
A reunion
for a 6th round pick.
I don't think you need to give up a 6.
Yeah, conditional.
Yeah.
Honestly, at this stage, with how little he's going to make, be a little intrigue there, I guess, because it would be back playing for the same head coach and similar scheme. And the Seahawks aren't loaded at pass rusher by any means. So
what does that pass rush group look like? Because they're running a base 3-4 right now, right?
Yeah, they got
kind of a hybrid front.
Yeah, they got a lot of young guys. Like Boye Mafe's in year 2. Derek Hall's a rookie, the kid from Auburn that was mocked to the Chiefs a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Daryl Taylor out of Tennessee.
That is a lot of youth
who's been hurt, but
Jaron Reed's, I know it's a different position, but Jaron Reed's banged up.
Jaron Reed and Draymond Jones are your interior guys.
Draymond Jones ended up in Seattle.
Chenna Nwosu's the best guy, probably.
Yeah. He's
there too. It's not a bad group, but it's certainly not a group where you feel like, oh yeah, this is fine. We maybe use one more, playoff performer.
Yeah.
I would do it.
We've got 1 hour left on 580 Sports Talk today. We've got our 580 Sports Talk headlines, final thoughts on tonight's game, and we'll talk with the voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holthus. It's all coming up next hour on 580 Sports Talk. Final hour left on this game day Thursday edition of 580 Sports Talk. I'm Brendan Dworzinski. He is Dan Lucero, and we're here with you until 6 o'clock coming up tonight, which will lead you right into pregame coverage for the Kansas City Chiefs and Denver Broncos Thursday night football. 6 o'clock pregame start time, 7:15 kickoff from Arrowhead Stadium. Mitch Holthus and crew will, of course, be on the call, and Mitch is going to join us later this hour right here on 580 Sports Talk to preview the game. We will also get to our 580 Sports Talk headlines and more between now and 6 o'clock. A reminder, you just heard right before we came back from our news break, our Ghost Your Bills competition word for the 5 o'clock hour. It's our final word of the day, in fact, on 580 AM. Break. B-R-E-A-K. That break. It's a homophone. Interesting we'd go with the homophone, but it is what it is. B-R-E-A-K is your word for this hour. So if you want to enter for a chance to win $2,000 a day from the Ghost Your Bills competition, head to 580WIBW.com. On the homepage, there is a link that says Ghost Your Bills with 580WIBW. Click on that, enter the word break. You'll have to give your email address as well. And that's it. You're entered to win $2,000 a day from your good pals here at 580WIBW. You can only enter the word of the hour during this hour. So you have between now, when the word was announced, and 6 o'clock, 5:59:59, to go enter break on our website, 580WIBW.com. You have to be over 18 years or older, 18 years old or older, to participate in our competition. I got there eventually. And you cannot be related to someone who works here. So, honey, at home, sorry, you cannot enter the contest.
Yeah.
Your wife cannot enter the contest.
No, she cannot.
Or a brother or sister or child or parent or anything like that. And if you have to ask, well, I'm related to someone this way, if you've got to put together a whole web to prove you're not related to someone, you probably are too related to them to have it count. If you have to ask, err on the safe side there. But as long as you're not, my long-lost brother and you're over 18, you can enter this contest. That is at our website, 580WIBW.com. Let's get to our 580 Sports Talk headlines, shall we?
Let's do it.
As we get ready for Chiefs versus Broncos tonight, my first headline is going to take us to college basketball. We are just weeks away from the start of the college basketball season. As I told you earlier, there are now odds already out for K-State's season opener. And we are, if I have my math right, 25 days away from the first Monday of the college basketball season, November 6th. 25 days away. And with Media Day for the Big 12 coming up next Wednesday, for the men anyway, Tuesday will be the women, we've got the preseason All Big 12 team coming out today. The preseason poll will be out on Friday this week. That is tomorrow. So your preseason Big 12 Player of the Year, not a surprise, it is Kansas transfer Hunter Dickinson, the 7'2" big man who transferred in from Michigan. He is also obviously your preseason newcomer of the year to the conference. Preseason freshman of the year, Jacoby Walter, 6'5" wing from Baylor. Your all Big 12 preseason team includes a pair of Kansas Jayhawks, Hunter Dickinson, again, as well as DeJuan Harris. This is officially on the Big 12 website. You'd think they could spell DeJuan Harris's name right. It's still wrong.
Well, yeah. Well, what's worse, DeJuan with a D-E or Max Abmams?
Who put this together? So DeJuan Harris and Hunter Dickinson from KU, LJ Cryer at Houston. Don't forget, he transferred. He's not at Baylor anymore. LJ Cryer at Houston, Emmanuel Miller at TCU, and Max Asmus from Oral Roberts.
Max Admams.
Here's something crazy for you, and maybe not crazy in the current era of college sports and college basketball. Of the 5 members of the preseason All Big 12 team, 4 of them are transfers. And 3 of those 4 are from power conference schools. LJ Cryer in conference. He was originally at Baylor. Hunter Dickinson, we know, was at Michigan. DeJuan Harris has been at KU his whole career.
Mm-hmm.
Emmanuel Miller started his career at Texas A&M. And Max Asmus, of course, was a third-team All-American last year at Oral Roberts.
And for anyone wondering how we get Asmus from A-B-M-A-S, which is how his name is spelled, it's like, you ever see that funky German B that's not quite connected at the bottom?
Yeah.
That's what's in his last name. And that funky looking B is pronounced like an S?
German is where it comes from.
Yes.
I'm not going to pretend I know the rules. I never took German. Do you have German as an option when you were in high school? To take this class?
I think we did. Yeah.
Yeah, we had German too. I didn't take it though. I took French. And I barely know those rules. So yeah, that's how you get ASMIS. And
so yeah, it looks like a big B. The first time I ever encountered this was when I was playing the FIFA soccer video game.
Oh yeah,
there's a player for Borussia Dortmund named Kevin Grosskreutz, but it's GRO funky B Kreutz, but it's Grosskreutz, just like it's ASMIS.
How about that?
Abmis. So yeah, it's the funky letter B. It would be cool. Like, we should encourage the correct spelling. I mean, and maybe it is. Maybe it's just the pronunciation and they just left it alone. But they should spell it like it's pronounced and throw in what is that character called?
SZ. According to Wikipedia, it's an SZ.
Or sharpest S.
Yeah. So there you go. I learned some German today. But yeah, that's how you get ASMIS out of that.
Yeah, sharp S. That's what it is. It's the sharp S.
The sharp S. All right. Yeah. Your honorable mentions for the preseason All Big 12 team. They go by school. Baylor's got a trio of them, including Walther, who we already talked about. Ray J. Dennis, who is the transfer from Toledo, as well as Jalen Bridges.
And continuing the theme, he was a transfer too from West Virginia.
Yes, he was. Good point. Houston's got one honorable mention, Jamal Shedd. He's a dang good player. KU, one honorable mention. It's Kevin McCullough.
That's also transfer.
Not KJ Adams. Interesting. Last year's most improved player. Interesting. K-State, two transfers. Arthur Kaluma and Tyler Perry. Both honorable mentions. From Texas, they've got three. Dylan Dessou.
Transfer.
Tyrese Hunter.
Transfer.
Dylan Mitchell. And then West Virginia's got Jesse Edwards. Transfer from Syracuse. Almost everyone who got an all Big 12 preseason honor is a transfer at least once.
And Cryer, transfer within the league. Bridges, transfer within the league. Tyrese Hunter, transfer within the league.
Yes, he did.
He was at Iowa State. McCullough, transfer within
the league. Yeah. How about that? Very interesting. But that is your preseason all Big 12 team for this year. Should note, coaches are not permitted to vote for their own student athletes. And again, the preseason Big 12 basketball poll will come out tomorrow. We will tell you all about that when we get to tomorrow's headlines. And we will have full coverage for you from Big 12 Basketball Media Day in Kansas City next Wednesday. So 6 days from today, a week from yesterday, yours truly will be on site for that one. It used to be through this past year, like you show up early in the morning, it starts at 8 o'clock. Maybe the first session's at 9. I don't know. All the coaches speak for 10 minutes each. You get lunch real quick. You have breakout sessions. I'm back here by the start of the show. This year, they have broken it up far differently because there are so many teams now. So I might not be in studio Wednesday, but I will be on the air. It just might not be in studio coming up next Wednesday. So Big 12 basketball season getting here quicker than you may have realized.
I don't have any beef with the preseason.
Me either.
Like last year, they put Avery Anderson from Oklahoma State in the preseason all-conference team. It's like, what? Why? And he was first team preseason all Big 12. And that was weird, and it looked even weirder as the season went on. I don't have any issue with the five here, the three guards, Harris, Cryer, ASMIS, Miller, and Dickinson. Those are all really good players. Like, if you really wanted to argue for, like, Dessou was, I thought, Texas's best player in the Big 12 tournament last year.
Oh, for sure. And the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, he was really good in the NCAA tournament too. Like, if you want to argue for him or Jalen Bridges over, like, Emmanuel Miller, would be like, if I were ranking the all Big 12 team, like, Miller would be fifth for me.
I could see an argument for Shedd.
Yeah, Shedd's really good. A lot of good players. I'm just going to say it. This is maybe a controversial take. There are a lot of good players in the Big 12.
A lot of good ones. Jamal Shedd and Kevin McCullough guarding each other. Those two, when KU and Houston play this year, are going to go a combined 2 of 14 from the floor. They're going to just lock each other up in prison.
Texter from the 402 says, ridiculous, Naquan Tomlin didn't get a vote. I was a little surprised. Well, he may have gotten a vote, but
yeah.
I guess, I mean, I don't know what the criteria for if any votes at all are honorable mention, then I guess that means he didn't get a vote, which that would be, I guess I'm a little surprised.
If that is the criteria, and I don't know exactly what the criteria is, because if it's just you get a vote, then yeah, I would say I'm surprised too. If it's you've got to hit a certain number, or we just take the top 12 or whatever the number is, maybe a little more understandable. But yeah, I mean, I have a hard time thinking 13 other coaches in the league, none of them said, yeah, that guy's pretty good. I don't know. League with a lot of good players, though. A lot of good players.
A lot of really good players.
And the two that did make it for K-State as honorable mentions are really good.
Yeah.
Really, really good college basketball players.
And they don't make you vote positionally anymore.
No.
So it's not like you got to include, have to have a forward and a center. You might have 5 guards.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Dickinson might have been unanimous, but I guess I don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess he was. Former first team All-American. Yeah, I would assume so.
I would have thought so. Let's do the Major League Baseball playoff roundup as our next headline here on 580 Sports Talk, because 3 of the 4 league division series are in the books, and one of them could very well end tonight. Yesterday, it was first the Houston Astros, the first game was Phillies Braves. We were talking about that while it was on the air. Phillies hit 6 home runs in a 10-2 win over the Atlanta Braves. Braves look very prepared to go out sad today, although they do have Spencer Strider on the bump. And if there's anybody who can maybe throw some shutout ball and give the Braves offense a chance to wake up, which they really haven't done outside of 2 swings of the bat in game 2, Strider's the guy like you want on the mound with your season on the brink if you're the Braves. So never say never, but the Braves kind of are giving off a it's time to head to Cancun vibe after their game 3 loss as they were blown out in Philadelphia. The second game yesterday was Astros Twins. Actually a decent ball game. Astros took an early lead, held on late, scoreless ball from the bullpen. 3-2 Astros beat and then eliminate the Twins in 4 games. 7 consecutive years the Astros have made it to the American League Championship Series. And as much as we have talked about all of these high seeds, all of these teams that have gotten the buys, all of these teams with 100 regular season wins falling on their faces in this extended playoff format, the one team that just keeps on ticking in October, you can set your watch to them, it's the Houston Astros.
Yep.
And I know what you're going to say about the Houston Astros. I have absolutely no doubt about what many people will say about the Houston Astros. And it's a reputation that they deserve and they brought on themselves. But we are well past trash can gate, and they keep winning in October.
Yep.
And
hell, they've won another World Series since.
Yeah. We're well beyond that, and they keep churning it out. They keep delivering in October. They keep getting the good starting pitching, getting the timely hitting. Their veterans come through. Their stars swing the big bats. Jose Altuve homered yesterday. They are the team doing what the Braves and the Dodgers and the Orioles and all these other 100-win teams seem to not be able to do when the calendar flips to October. So that says something complimentary about the Astros, which I understand most people are not inclined to be complimentary toward the Houston Astros. And I get where you're coming from. Believe me, they've earned that. But 7 straight championship series, they've earned a measure of credit for churning those out as well. Speaking of the Dodgers, they're going home. 100 wins, swept away by the Diamondbacks. Once again, it was starting pitching that betrayed the Dodgers, as Mr. Clanky himself, Lance Lynn, who gave up 44 home runs in the regular season, gave up 4 solo home runs in the second inning. And that was all she wrote. It was all the Diamondbacks needed in a 4-2 win in Arizona to complete the sweep in that division series. Look, man, the Dodgers won 100 games, but they started a corpse, a rookie, and Mr. Clanky in their 3 playoff games. And their 2 monstars, Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman, went a combined 1 for 24. And you are not going to beat anybody in a 3-game series. You're going to be lucky to beat anyone even once in 3 games if those are your circumstances.
Is this it for Dave Roberts?
No, I don't think you can blame him for this.
Okay.
It's not his fault that
I mean, because you rely on those batters to bat. Like, that's their job.
Yes, like Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman going 1 for 24 is not Dave Roberts' fault. Clayton Kershaw's shoulder being deli ham is not Dave Roberts' fault. Julio Urias being a bad guy who beats women for kicks is not his fault.
No.
Joe Sheehan had this, and I want to make sure that I have this correct. So I'm going to go look this up real quick. The 7 highest paid players on the Dodgers in this playoff series, this is what they did. Max Muncy making $13.5 million this year, 2 for 11.
Not great
in the series. Julio Urias, $14.3 million. Did not pitch.
Hopefully in jail.
And may go to prison. Chris Taylor making $15 million. 1 for 6 in the series. Not even an everyday player anymore.
Not good.
Clayton Kershaw, $20 million contract this year. Got one guy out in his one start. Trevor Bauer on a $24.5 million salary for this year. Yeah. Noted scumbag Trevor Bauer, he obviously did not pitch. Last seen pitching for the Yokohama Bay Stars and making an ill-advised victory lap on YouTube. Freddie Freeman, $25.8 million, 1 for 10 in the series. Mookie Betts, 0 for 11 in the series. So I'm sorry, I said 1 for 24, 1 for 21 in the series between those two. Those are your 7 highest paid players. Like, you give out the big salaries, which you can do if you're a franchise like the Dodgers. The guys you spend the money on, and this is true in any sport, the guys you spend the big money on need to produce.
Yep.
And for the Dodgers, that was not the case. And that, more than any inherent unfairness about the playoffs or the layoff or whatever, is why they're going home.
The one note about the Astros I had in mind is, we talked yesterday on the show about how when you trade for a guy, we're specifically talking about the Chiefs, but you trade for a guy or you sign a guy to a big deal or you give up a lot to get him. Maybe they don't live up to the expectations that people set on them, but if they help you win a title, then it was worth it.
Yes.
Talking about Frank Clark, talking about Kadarius Toney. The Astros are still a ways away from winning a championship this year. Still got to win 2 more series to get there. Their big offseason signing was Jose Abreu, the former MVP and Rookie of the Year with the Chicago White Sox, who by pretty much every single measure, advanced or otherwise, had the worst year of his career this year in his first year with Houston.
Starting to show his age a little bit.
All he did in 4 games in the postseason so far is bat .313 with an OPS of over 1,200.
He had 2 home runs in game 3 and he homered in game 4.
8 RBIs, walked once as well. Like that. That's what winning teams do. They show up in the big moments. Yeah. And the Dodgers, as much as they have won a lot of games and have been they have done what a lot of baseball teams haven't done. And they've said, hey, what if we actually paid players that will make us better? They have only won 1 ring, and it was the ring that at least 50% of the population feels shouldn't have even counted.
Yeah.
In a fake season where pretty much no stats matter.
Yeah.
Where no one played at home.
Mickey Mouse champions.
It was very funny before these playoffs started, though, or before the ALDS started. More World Series games had been played in Globe Life Park than Texas Rangers games in the postseason at Globe Life Park.
They did. They hosted the Bubble World Series. This piece of analysis, I think, really sums it up for the Dodgers, and it comes from team owner and elite poster Irvin Magic Johnson. We're all disappointed that our Dodgers didn't hit or pitch well. That's why we lost the series to the Diamondbacks. You said it, Magic.
He's one of one. There's nobody who posts like Magic posts.
He quit his job so he could post more.
Hey, I get it.
I know. Yeah, totally. He's elite level poster, the Magic Man.
One other quick baseball headline before we wrap our headlines today. According to Bruce Levine, who has covered Chicago baseball for forever, in a report for 670 The Score WSCR in Chicago, said this week that the Chicago White Sox have expressed interest in veterans Salvador Perez and Whit Merrifield as 2 potential offseason targets. What do Sal and Whit have in common? On the surface, they both played together for the Royals.
Mm-hmm.
They also played for the Royals while White Sox manager Pedro Grifol worked for the Royals.
I got to get these guys in my clubhouse. I have got to recreate these 100-loss Royals teams of the late 2010s and early 2020s. Get me a past his prime Salvador Perez and... Well, Whit Merrifield made the All-Star team this past year. I can't say he's past his prime either, but also he is past his prime.
Yeah. I mean, just by nature of him being older in Major League Baseball, he is past his prime.
It'd be very funny for the White Sox to take a look at themselves after a 100-loss season. They lost 101 games this year and say, we need to recreate that mojo they had going in Kansas City during the Whit Merrifield years, which you may recall amounted to absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing. Now, Bruce Levine has not so to speak, had his fastball in recent years. He used to be a lot sharper in the scoop game for Chicago baseball. But the reason I think this gets a lot of extra credence from me, this is not the first time we have gotten reporting that the White Sox want Salvi. We got that during the year. We heard that the White Sox wanted to get Salvador Perez. That had been reported on a national level during this season. So not that it will happen, not that it should happen, but if multiple outlets at multiple different levels of, attention are going to report this, there's probably at least a little bit of something to the White Sox wanting Salvador Perez.
Whit Merrifield made the All-Star team this year. His OPS on the season was an even 700.
Ew.
Revolting.
Ew. That's not great.
Hasn't been an above-average hitter in a full season since 2019.
How many hits did he end up with?
149.
Oh, that's not even like his 200 hit seasons.
No, not particularly close. And he'll be 35 before spring training.
Go ahead, White Sox.
Yeah, but if that's how the White Sox are going to recover from 101 losses, recreate the 2019 Royals, hey, by all means, all the best.
Let's do we're going to wrap up our 580 Sports Talk headlines. Let's do a commercial. Let's get to a commercial break. Coming up, we've got a couple of quick notes on the Chiefs-Broncos game tonight. Then we'll hear from Mitch Holthus, the voice of the Chiefs. Coming up here on 580 Sports Talk. A note from our pal Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com. No practice squad elevations for the Chiefs. And for now, it looks like everybody who is questionable is going to go. We'll know for certain here shortly.
Well, there certainly would have had to be one for Tommy Townsend if he was not going to be available after he popped up as limited on yesterday's participation report. And they certainly would have had to elevate a punter if Townsend wasn't going to go.
Yeah. So
that, or they just think they're not going to punt.
That'd be kind of fun.
I'd be okay if the Chiefs didn't punt. That would be fine.
Yeah, that'd be a blast. But it sounds for now, and again, this per our pal Matt Derrick, that it is going to be Karlaftis, Kelsey, and Townsend all good to go for this game tonight for the Kansas City Chiefs. And as we heard, and what everyone else outside of the sports world is talking about, Taylor Swift is going to be at the game.
Yes, she is.
So good for her. I hope she has a really fun time.
She was at a movie premiere last night and flew over Kansas City.
Apparently, there is a belief in the movie industry, the movie theater industry, that the Eras Tour movie is going to save movie theaters.
Hey, movie theaters are worth saving, so I hope they're right.
Yeah. Abby goes to movies regularly. She's a member at the Art Theater in Lawrence, and said that the screen times for all day today and tomorrow have been blocked out for like weeks. And it's like, I wonder what's going to happen. And it's just all showings of it. I think she said there are 17 showings of this movie. It's a concert movie.
Yeah.
I can't believe that.
Well, tickets to the concert itself were a little pricey.
Yeah.
People want to have the experience. This is probably the next best thing.
I
Go see it in
suppose
the theater. I mean, people will dress up to go to the theater. They'll sing along. It'll be like Star Wars.
Like Star Wars. Yeah, it really will be. Let's get to another break. When we come back on the other side of this timeout, we will be joined by the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, Mitch Holthus. He's coming up after this on 580 Sports Talk. Back on 580 Sports Talk on this Thursday afternoon. Brendan and Dan here with you on game day. It's a red Thursday for the Chiefs this week. And what better way to take us from 580 Sports Talk to the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Denver Broncos than with the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs. That is Mitch Holthus joining us here as he does every Thursday, brought to you by Hy-Vee and Azure Credit Union during the Chiefs season. Mitch, we know the schedule changes a bunch for the team, for the players during the short week with Thursday Night Football. They've got to, Monday actually becomes Wednesday in a normal week, et cetera, et cetera. How different is an early week game for you in terms of preparation and getting ready for kickoff?
A completely different universe. We started working on, Matt McMullen and I, senior team reporter. I do a lot of ancillary shows. Doing the play-by-play is kind of the tip of the iceberg. I do 25 shows a week between 65 TPT, television work, and appearances like these and other radio shows, and then the prep for the game. We started working on the bus as we left U.S. Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. Worked on the plane, worked into the night. Then Monday was started as a Monday. It became a Wednesday. Then it turned into a Thursday. Then it went back to a Monday. Tuesday was fairly regular with a little bit of Wednesday. And yesterday was a Tuesday, Wednesday, and a Friday in a Wednesday. It's a lot. I don't mind telling you. I'm not complaining, but it's the Sunday to Thursday turnaround for the players, especially, is one of the most difficult, I think, in all of professional sports. But even for those of us Scorbinis, it's a mad scramble. You try to get this game won, and then you try to take a breath tomorrow and enjoy a weekend.
As for that game in Minneapolis this past weekend, Chiefs pick up the win, a very solid win, I think, overall for the Chiefs. Good effort from the defense again, offense starting to get a little bit more momentum. What stood out to you the most about that performance in Minnesota against a team that, look, despite their record, and we talked about this last week, they can go. They've got some dudes, and I know Justin Jefferson got banged up during the game. But what really stood out to you the most and impressed you the most about that winning effort?
Well, even before Jefferson's injury, to hold him to 28 yards receiving is ridiculous. I told you last week he's on pace to, well, he is the greatest receiver in NFL history statistically in 3 seasons and 6 games. But that's not the first paragraph to answer your question. My first answer to you is what could be maybe the biggest piece for tonight, and that is the drive to start the second half, where the Chiefs went 11 plays, 75 yards, and Kelsey was no part of it. He was injured. The fact that there was 33 yards on a play on third down and 15 or third and 17 from the 15 to Justin Watson. Rashee Rice makes a blitz adjustment, just the things we talked about the last several weeks, to get a double-digit gain. Then a Justin Ross pass, then Marquez Valdes-Scantling, then back to Rice on the slant to get the touchdown. That was as profound a sequence, if the Chiefs are going to get where they want to get tonight and beyond, as at any time throughout this season, to get the young receivers to basically put together their own drive to get a touchdown. It wasn't McKinnon, it wasn't Pacheco, it was those receivers. And they're going to have to do it again tonight.
As for number 87, I know he entered today with a questionable designation, and I know we've got the final report on the actives and inactives coming out here momentarily. But for Travis Kelce to get banged up, and I know he said on the podcast on New Heights this week that he really did not like playing on that turf in Minnesota, to get banged up, have that ankle rolled up on, and to then come back in after that drive, still score a touchdown, and now be busting his hump to get in there tonight. What does that say about this dude's toughness?
That his career goes way beyond his stats. Now, it's cause and effect. The fact that he is such a warhorse and has been this way since the beginning of 2014, from September the 7th, 2014 to now, it has been, he's been 5 digits worth of snaps. He's over 10,000 snaps, and they're hard snaps. And since 2016, he's just been grinding. He missed the opening game this year. It's the only game he's missed by injury since the beginning of 2016. We've had 14 playoff games since 2016, which is essentially a whole nother season. And he's just been in hard snaps. You think of playoff baseball and they talk about high leverage pitches from a reliever with runners on base. That's every play for Kelce. And it's not just running deep routes like he has to run like receivers run, but it's the fact that he still has to block and block hard plays. And he just keeps on charging. Now, this short week, if he can't go tonight, it will be because of the short week. Just think about it. If he had all day today, all day tomorrow, all day Saturday, even if we were traveling, to rest it, get treatment on it, rest it, get treatment on it, try to work out a little bit, get more treatment on it, he's missing all that. he basically has truncated 6 days into 2 or 3 to try to play this game tonight. And so you don't want to risk further injury. You're worried, kind of concerned about that, but he's an absolute warhorse. I don't know, say the toughest dude I've ever been around, but from a high-profile player, he and Mahomes are near the top of that list because these guys are tough as nails. It goes way beyond stats and winning your fantasy league.
We're talking with Mitch Holthus, the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, joining us as he does every Thursday here on 580 Sports Talk to break down the upcoming game for the Chiefs, which is, again, in just a couple of hours as they get set to take on the Denver Broncos. Mitch, the Chiefs-Broncos rivalry has tremendous history over the years, and it's one that is deeply felt on both sides of the rivalry, and I've experienced it both as a native Coloradan and now having made my professional career covering the Chiefs. I've experienced it from both sides, and I know how fierce this rivalry is. But it has been decidedly one-sided in recent years. 15 straight victories for the Chiefs over the Broncos. When you look back at this stretch, is there a game against Denver that stands out to you in this winning streak, or a moment or a characterization of these games where the Chiefs have had this sudden mastery over a team that has been a thorn in their side historically?
It's been generally the fourth quarter or the end of games where the Chiefs have been able to basically complete all of them. And Denver, for whatever reason, whether it's driving and then having a Melvin Gordon fumble and a scoop and score of 86 yards by Nick Bolton in 2021, or a precarious decision in overtime. I believe it was Kubiak. You're the Bronco guy. They try a 55-yard field goal in overtime and miss it. And the Chiefs go down and win in overtime. That was in Denver. Dislocated kneecap for Mahomes, and the whole Denver crowd is going, this is it. We've got him. And the Chiefs go on to win 30-6. It's just been like mini streaks in a rivalry where you get really close, but you can't get over the hump. That being said, I mean, if Mahomes wins tonight, there's a couple things going on here. If Mahomes wins tonight, he will start his career 12-0 against the Broncos. That will tie an all-time NFL record with Otto Graham of the Cleveland Browns, who beat the Chicago Cardinals 12 straight times from 1950 to 1955. So that's historically significant. But Mahomes has thrown 8 interceptions against the Broncos. Denver has intercepted Mahomes more than any other team. And the fact that, Justin Simmons has 2 of them, interceptions. Patrick Surtain, the second, he's got 2 interceptions last year. Remember, Josie Jewell had 2 interceptions. The Broncos have made it very difficult on Patrick Mahomes. A few of these games have been easy wins. Most of them have not been. And I look for Denver to give it everything they've got tonight and for this to be a tough game.
What is it that stands out about this Bronco team that even despite their 1-4 start can make them a tough out tonight?
I still think there's potential there. Offensively, they're way better. Everybody was throwing rocks at Russell Wilson last year, and probably should have. But this year, I think he's getting some unfair criticism. He's gone from 29 QBR rating to 4th in the league. He has 11 touchdown passes. I mean, you look at him, he's been productive. It's just been the costly mistake at the worst time. They get an interception last week from Surtain. It basically gives the chance for the Broncos to win a game that they didn't have any chance of winning. And then what happens is Wilson turns it over on a sack strip, and then it's run in as a scoop and score, and it makes it look like a 10-point game, whereas the Broncos had the ball and had a chance to go win it. That's kind of a microcosm of the whole season. They're running backs. Now, Wilson throws to the running backs more than any quarterback in this league, 34% of the time. And Jaleel McLaughlin gets your attention, the kid out of Youngstown State, who was, I thought, dynamic last week against the Jets. His screen pass, I mean, he's 4.4 speed. I don't know why he wasn't drafted. The league is missing on these running backs because they missed on Isaiah Pacheco. We get him in the 7th round. McLaughlin is I think he's a really good player. They probably have Javonte Williams tonight. They'll have a Samaje Perine. These guys are all dangerous at running back as pass catchers. And I think that poses a problem for the Chiefs. especially since the Chiefs are beat up at certain spots. It'll also be a game-time decision, I think, with George Karlaftis. So that is going to be a little bit harrowing. On defense, they're the biggest mystery of the league right now. They've got those personnel, and yet historically, guys, they are on pace. Talk about 1950. They're on pace to be the worst defense since the 1950 Rams. And it just, no rhyme or reason to it. Now, if they get healthy, they do have pass rushers in Cooper and especially Nick Bonito, the kid from Oklahoma, who's got 4.5 sacks the last 2 games. We know the secondary is talented. It's just something's missing. At one of these times, they're going to put things together. I just hope it's not tonight.
We're chatting with Mitch Holthus, the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, here on 580 Sports Talk. As we get ready for Chiefs-Broncos tonight, you'll be able to hear all the action, pregame, postgame, everything included right here on 580 WIBW and the Chiefs Radio Network this evening. And Mitch, against this Denver defense, which has struggled so mightily so far this year, there will likely be some opportunities for big plays, chunk plays, consistent plays, however you want to phrase it or frame it, for this Chiefs offense. But the guy, to me, who I think I personally just want to see out there a lot, getting number 1 wide receiver types of snaps and number 1 wide receiver types of opportunities, is the rookie from SMU, Rashee Rice, who we on this program have been big fans of. We talked about him during training camp reports before the season started, over the last couple of weeks as well. We're now just about a third of the way through the season. What has really stood out to you about Rashee Rice and the way he has already started to develop week over week?
He's been willing to learn and grow. I think we've seen him grow week to week. Now, to give him those targets that you're wanting, let's say he gets 10 targets. He's got to make sure he's going to get 8 of those. Don't drop any of them. The Chiefs have 11 drops. That's the most in the league. He's got a couple of them. And the fact that he's got to catch the short, tough route. Last week, I told you about the blitz adjustment he made on the 11-play touchdown drive, his best play yet. But he also has to win, and the slant was big, getting the slant at the end zone. I told you that the RPO play is going to be big there tonight, meaning there's a run-pass option, but Mahomes pulls it out and throws it in microseconds, and you got to catch that at your back hip, moving away from the pass, basically. That's the kind of play he has to make tonight. Because if he gets that, and he can secure it and be confident and get his physics moving forward, he is a tackle breaker. He's got the chance to catch an 8-yard slant and make it a 80-yard touchdown. And not that he's got burning 4.35 speed, but he is a ready-made tackle breaker. And so he can get you some big chunk plays when the play isn't necessarily designed to be a chunk play. And I think that's the biggest weapon he brings to the Kansas City Chiefs, much like a Juju Smith-Schuster did last year. If this thing's going to grow and go for Rashee Rice, it's going to be his ability to get yards after catch on short routes.
Final thing I've got for you, Mitch, is about the head coach of the Denver Broncos. That's Sean Payton, who spent last year on Fox TV, comes back, has brought in like half of his final roster in New Orleans to now be on the roster in Denver. And he's got a lot of success. He had a ton of crazy offensive statistics that his teams put up while he was in New Orleans. Obviously had a Hall of Fame quarterback there when he was working with Drew Brees. He was asked this week about his relationship with Andy Reid, and he was talking about when they were back in the NFC East, and he was an assistant for the Giants, and Andy was, of course, the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles at the time. What are the challenges that come with facing a Sean Payton coached team?
One of your nuggets of the night. Sean Payton is one of the best coaches in NFL history at the so-called scripting the first 15. Think about the Broncos' 1-4 record thus far. The Broncos right now are second in the NFL with 27 points on first offensive possessions. Only San Francisco is better. And Kyle Shanahan's another guy that scripts them well. So does Coach Reid. But in the case of Sean Payton, you wouldn't guess that a 1-4 team is second in the league with 27 points on first offensive possessions. It goes back to what I'm saying is they can't finish it. That right now they're on I don't know, you guys talked about growing up around Denver. They have an NFL record right now of 10 games where they've led at halftime and blown the leads. That's a record, NFL record.
Ugh.
But you asked me, the danger right now of Sean Payton is the fact that he is prepared with those first 15s. He is going to hit you with the 7 right out of the gate. The Chiefs now are third in the NFL at preventing such points on first offensive possessions. So this game will start from the very first breath. And if the Chiefs get a stop on a first possession tonight, here in a little bit, it'll be a bigger thing than most fans will realize and just go, ho-hum, where's the chips and salsa? Just because Sean Payton is so good at scripting a game to start a game.
Mitch Holthus is the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs. He joins us every Thursday during Chiefs season, brought to you by Hy-Vee and Azure Credit Union. And how fitting tonight, because we've got Chiefs Broncos coming up here in just a few minutes. Mitch and the whole crew from the Chiefs Radio Network will be on the call. You can hear all the action right here on 580 WIBW. Mitch, we appreciate the time. Know it's a busy day, so thank you for taking a few minutes for us. Enjoy the game tonight and enjoy what will hopefully be win 16 in a row for the Chiefs over the Broncos.
And that would be third all-time in NFL history for streaks if they get that done tonight. The other thing I'd say as we close is that this was a dream of Lamar Hunt, Chiefs founder. He wanted a third Thanksgiving game for years, meaning Detroit always gets that early game, right? Then the second game is Dallas. He wanted the third game. And if not the Chiefs all the time, at least rotated. He got that dream in November the 23rd, 2006. It was the first ever game on NFL Network, which was then a new thing. And it started the phenomenon that is now Thursday Night Football and part of our culture. And the Chiefs beat the Broncos 19-10. But from that dream and urging of Lamar Hunt, we now have Thursday Night Football again with the Chiefs and the Broncos. So that'll be part of the game day setup. You'll hear in a little bit from me. And then also you'll want to hear the impactful Thursday night games that have been a huge part of this 11 years with Andy Reid that people have forgotten about. But a lot of them have happened on Thursday nights.
Man, we can't wait for it. Mitch will be listening. Thanks so much.
All right, boys. Thanks.
That's Mitch Holthus, the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, joining us here on 580 Sports Talk. Real quick, they just came out moments ago. We've got your inactive list for tonight for the Chiefs. Nick Jones, B.J. Thompson, Mike Caliendo, Neil Farrell, Keandre Coburn. Those are the only guys who will be inactive tonight for the Kansas City Chiefs. So all the guys who are questionable, that includes Bolton, Kelsey, Townsend, all good to go.
Karlaftis as well.
And Karlaftis, excuse me. Who did I say? Bolton, Kelsey, Townsend, and Karlaftis. Yeah, there we go. All ready to go for tonight's game. We've got one more break to get to. We'll come back, wrap things up with the final word after this on 580 Sports Talk. Just before we get to Chiefs pregame on the Chiefs Radio Network, time for a final word Dan, you're up.
It's a short week. It's a night game. It's a divisional game against a team who's played the Chiefs tough the last couple of years. There's wind and possibly rain in the forecast. There are lots of ingredients for weirdness tonight. But cackle with knowing glee, Chiefs fan, if the Chiefs defense gets a stop on the opening drive, because the Broncos scripted stuff is really good. If you can keep them out of the end zone in their scripted stuff, they're probably going to keep them out of the end zone with the not scripted stuff as well. And I expect the Chiefs defense to have a big game. I expect Isaiah Pacheco to have a big game. And I expect the Chiefs to have little problem with the Broncos and make it 16 in a row.
Yeah, my final word today pertains to Isaiah Pacheco. He can handle a bigger load. We saw it just 2 weeks ago. If you want to hand the ball off to him 20 times, he can handle it. He is a good enough player. He's a sturdy enough player. He can manage a workload like that. If you get up, go ahead and run. Run the ball even if you're not up immediately. This is a terrible run defense, the worst in the league based on total yards and yards per carry against the run. Use Pacheco. Let him do his thing. You're going to have plenty of opportunities to throw the ball and just do whatever it takes to, once again, blow out a team that you have owned for the better part of the last decade. Chiefs pregame coming up on the other side of this break. We'll recap the game and preview college football this weekend. Coming up tomorrow. For Jake, for Dan, I'm Brendan. This is 580 Sports Talk.